Hey, back again with another FE chit chat, and we have a few people in already, which is pretty awesome, but we also have a hell of a lot of dislikes. At one point I think I had 14 people waiting with 15 dislikes. Something weird's going on, not sure what it is, but hello and good evening to everybody. It's been a few days since I've done my last show. Mind you, it was been the weekend and I had lots on. I couldn't decide which room I wanted to go to. I had so many choices. I had the bathroom, the living room, the kitchen. Really couldn't decide where I wanted to spend Easter this year, but I ended up deciding to spend Easter in the living room, and what can I say, it was pretty awesome, nice and warm. Weather's been beautiful actually, but yeah, I mean, had a TV in there and all sorts. Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. What an awesome Easter. So anyway, hello everybody, and I'm trying something a little different this evening. I've decided to lower the stream output down to 720p, so instead of it streaming on 1080. And that was because Gently's channel says, one day Ranty will turn down the frame rate so Android peeps can watch. Well, I'm just trying to stream it in a lesser amount so that hopefully that will ease the problem. However, one thing I would say gently is that if you actually watch it on a browser instead of the YouTube app on your Android phone, it'll work fine. It's the problem with the Android phone, to be honest, and the Android app for YouTube. So maybe reinstall it, that would be a good thing. Maybe update your phone. But either way, I've tried to accommodate you as best I can for this stream. Let me know if it's worked. I want to give a thank you as well to Darwin, who before the show even started sent a $10 super chat for beers. Thank you very much appreciated. And I also need to thank Sam Hain too, who actually gave a super chat, not at the end of the last show, but the show before. Actually, the show had finished, but the stream was still live. You get the extra 7 or 8 minutes or so of chat that you can do afterwards. And during that time, Sam Hain made a $50 donation. So thank you very much to him as well for still supporting the show and being one of the best supporters out there for Flat Earth. Absolutely brilliant. So yes, we've got a few people in. We have, wow, Rakia Life, Brandon Toy, The Mind of God, nice to see you in. Mike Dornan, nice to see you in. Chris Matt, Martin H, Gaz Lee, YouTube's in again. Brian Shuker, Level and Flat, awesome, nice to see you in, mate, as well. Amanda Young, and many more. Darwin, as I say, Flat Tarn, and many more. Okay, so I had a message yesterday from Pete Shea. He wants to join the panel. So at some point, hopefully, if he's listening in, he will call me on Skype. I am waiting for some panelists, so if anybody's in the Ranty's Live panelists that wants to join, or anybody that's got me on Skype, call me and I'll add you to the show. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to have a look and see who's in, and if anybody's got any questions, maybe I'll do some questions until we get a couple of panelists in. So let's see. I hope you turn your 5G router to 2.4. Is that for me? I'm not too sure what that means, but we aren't getting 5G at the moment, hopefully, and luckily not here anyway. Gasly says, do you make money from this, Ranty? Just asking, mate. For the amount of effort I put in, it's barely minimum wage. If you was actually going to quote it on a hourly rate, I would say barely minimum wage, probably less than minimum wage, and more often than not, to be honest, a lot less. So what can I say? If it hadn't been for some of the people supporting the show with the big donations, yeah, I mean, you'd be working for, well, doing the streams for about a pound an hour or something like that. At the minute, it's running probably around about £5 or £6 an hour. What can I say? So that's me just being honest. Then you still got to pay your tax out of that. So ultimately, does it pay? Not really. But you know me, I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this for the truth and the knowledge. And I think you guys already know that. That's why you support this show. That's why you tune in. You know, I'm not one of the crowd, so to speak. I always do my own thing. Smash that like button to defeat the trolls. Indeed, listen. Hey, if people want if people want to spend their entire time changing accounts and clicking the dislike button, that's fine. That works for me. It really does. We get somebody smashing the dislike button, and then after the stream finishes, all those dislikes get removed anyway because it's from the one account. But in the meantime, this shows that there's interaction. So YouTube actually promotes streams that have all this interaction. So it's pretty cool actually that people actually do click the dislikes, because they actually help the show without realizing. Right, who else? The Mind of God, thoughts on firearms and self-defense under these certain days? Well, here in the UK, we don't have firearms. However, in America, I mean, it's part of your rights, isn't it, to hold firearms and such. I think things are going to get probably worse. I mean, I have been watching this channel. I think it's called something Farmer. I think I put a link out on my channel. He did another one today explaining how all the different places in America that supply the farmers and stuff, you know, so all the grain and the abattoirs and things that are shutting down, and because the farmers have got nowhere to either feed their herd or sell them to go off to slaughter and be processed, that they're having to kill them themselves. And so a lot of the farming stuff over there is going to pot, basically, especially your meats and stuff. You should look into that. So what's that going to lead into? Probably you're going to need to use your firearms at some point, I would think. I can see it being a very uncertain time there for sure. And self-defense, definitely. You need to have some defenses in your house. Right. Let's see. Ranty, very accessible here in Texas. Let me see if I can get that channel up. Let's see if I can get that channel up. Just let me flick through my channel. Your channel. Community. Here we go. Hang on, where we go? So here we go. Here's the Ice Age Farmer. That's his channel. It was really, I listened to his video today. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I posted a link to that one, and this one says no more meat, plants close indefinitely. It goes on to talk about Smithfield Foods Inc., which produces 130 million servings of food per week. Has basically stopped now. It's no longer producing that. So that's 5% of the US pork production. So you can look that up, guys. That's from Virginia, Smithfield's Foods. So that's just one of the casualties of the things that are going on right now. But yeah, I'll post that link to his video in here. It's a really he goes into it really well, actually, and he explains things pretty well. It's worth looking into, because ultimately, you know, whether you believe the virus is real or not, you've got to say that things do seem to be. Oh, hang on, wait a minute. What's this Pete Shea saying? You have been wrong about everything so far, Ranty. Have I really? Maybe you should jump on the panel and tell me how I've been wrong about everything so far, Pete Shea. I would welcome you to jump on. Just call me right now. You see, you can't even go to your channel to check that's the real Pete Shea. It's really pissing me off that they've removed that ability. So I have no idea if that's the real Pete Shea doing it. But seeing as that he did message me yesterday to see if I was doing a stream, call me now. Phone me up on Skype and we'll get into that. See whether or not I've been wrong about everything so far, and we'll discuss that in depth right now. Right. What's Conspiracy Cat said? Of course it is real. Conspiracy Cats did a video on his Baldy Cats channel today. If you haven't seen that, perhaps go and watch it. I liked the video. What can I say? Don't worry, it was nothing flat earth related. He's still a globe head. We're the flat earthers here. He's wrong about that, but he might be right on a couple of things. Pete Shea, okay, join. Right, good stuff. Get your ass on here and tell me why I've been wrong on absolutely everything. I look forward to that. In fact, whilst I'm at it, let's have a look at Pete Shea's channel. Let's have a look and see when he last did a stream. Yeah, what a bummer. So, seeing as he's not come on and talked anything about coronavirus or the issues with that, it's going to be really difficult to have him actually saying any quotations about what his beliefs were about how things were panning out, seeing as he hasn't done a stream for over 3 months. But hey ho, my information is down for everybody to see. So come on, Pete Shea, get your ass on here and give me a call. Ian Matheson, our local shops have of today lift the ban of multi-identical item purchases. Awesome. Which local shops is that? Is that the supermarkets? Right the hand, I got my live stream. Awesome. What does that mean? Does that mean that you can start live streaming now, or what have you? If you've got your link to your channel, could you pop it in there so that people can go over and perhaps listen to your stuff, because you've got quite a good presence actually on the old internet here, so it might be worth people going over and listening to your chats, because yeah, they're quite awesome actually. And if you want to join and tell us about it, by all means, right the hand, give me a call on Skype right now and I'll add you to the call. Chris Berry, the protests have started in the US and riots are to follow. I would assume that would be the case. You know, I mean, if you guys, you've got to understand that this is right at the beginning. You know, if you think this is at the end, if you literally think that we're at the end of this, you've got a real hard time coming. I tell you, if you're thinking that, you know, oh, the peak has come and then the you know, it's all going to level off and everything's going to be fine and go back to normal. If that's how you're thinking right now, then you are quite literally deluded. You can actually start to see now what's going on with China, for instance. Apparently China, if you believe what they say, the official figures, they had no pandemic or whatever, it all finished and they had no cases. Apparently they've had 108 today that have been imported. You know, it's all just going to start off again. There's the second wave, the third wave. This is going to literally last for years, at least a couple of years, I would say. So anybody that thinks that things are just going to go back to normal is sadly mistaken. You know, I mean, you really haven't been paying attention to any of this. And some of the people that are saying comments here right now that are saying that the riots may well start in America are absolutely spot on. You know, I mean, if you've been following what's happening with the wheat and the grain and the farmers and all that kind of stuff, and you know, you'll be fully aware of what's actually going down. You've got to look at the big picture, you know, not just stick your head in the sand and pretend that it's all coming to an end, because that's never going to happen. The Mind of God, Conspiracy Cats, hop on the panel and school Ranty. Yeah, for sure. He sent me an email or two before now, so you know, if he wants to send me an email or add me on Skype, he's more than welcome to jump on. I'll extend the information to him. He said that I was welcome to join his stream this week, and there you go. I'm extending the same to him, so if he wants to join this, he's more than welcome to join. Cold Steel Truth says, Ranty's a nice man. Thank you very much. Ranty, Lidl's, Tesco's and One Shop, not too sure about Sainsbury's. Well, like I say, I mean, there's only a certain amount of food that they have inside the warehouses to supply all these shops all around the country. There's only so much. And if you look at how little food is being imported right now, how little food is being processed, how little food is being harvested, how little food is being made. If you look at that, and obviously they're going to stock the shelves right now because they are going to be trying to say that nothing's, there's no need to panic. But ultimately, what you'll find is that that isn't going to last. It can't last. It physically can't last. The whole world is not producing food. It's just the way it is. Pete Shea says, link me, Ranty. Right, okay. I shall add you to the call. Here we go.
Hey, how you doing, Ranty?
G'day, Pete. How's it going,
mate? Have your guns blazing tonight from what I said in the chat?
I've got my guns blazing. I'm ready for this, pal. Let's get into this. If you think that I've been wrong on everything, let's get it out there. Let's tell me why I've been wrong. Hello? You've got on mute there, Pete. No, still can't hear you, mate. Pete, we can't hear you. Hello? Oh, he's left. He's coming back again, I'm sure, though. Bill G, Ranty, I must know who is burying themselves tonight. Well, I think Pete Shea's coming on to tell me why I've been wrong about everything. Be interesting. What's your thoughts on Bill Gates? Anybody that thinks Bill Gates is helping humanity is, in my opinion, insane. The thought of actually giving yourself some inoculations. Who's this? Pete Shea. Hello?
Any better?
Yeah, coming through fine. I think it's when you switched on your camera, Pete.
Let me try that again. I don't...
Hello? No. As soon as you turn your camera on, you lose the volume for some reason. Yeah, I still can't hear a word you're saying now, Pete. It must be that when you switch your camera on. There you go. So yeah, I wouldn't with Bill Gates. Yeah, nobody should have those injections at all. That's my thoughts.
Okay, third time a charm, Ranty?
Third time. Just don't turn your camera on.
Okay. Okay. I've been the days have been wonderful here, so I've sort of been getting bronzed a little bit. I almost look like an Irish king or something like that, Ranty.
An Irish king? Do you know something? Have you known weather like it in sort of April? No,
it's been fantastic, and I'll tell you something for nothing. The air is absolutely pristine and clear. The water is the same, and there's a different ambience, a different mood around, I'm finding anyway, and I think that should accelerate as more and more people become aware of the farce, right? What I meant by you've got everything wrong, well, there's no panic. There's no panic. There's no food shortages. Everything is in a calm sort of. You might take the calm before the storm. I don't see it that way. Everything is a calming sort of mode. What I do find is more and more people now have been exposed to the idea that Corona is a hoax. I said it's all purposefully done, right? And then you have the 5G sort of substitution that it's all a cover for that. But, that's all speculation. But in terms of, there's no food shortages, there's no panic, and I don't see the end of the world. Anyway, whatever you're looking at. And once again, the weather has been fantastic, right? Here and over there.
Okay, well, let's talk about the weather first, and because I'd like to actually follow up on that, because to be honest, I mean, I said this, I actually put a post out about a week ago saying, hey, look what happens when you take the planes out of the sky. This is what I remember clouds being like when I was a kid, sort of like in the 1980s, early 1990s. You got to see fluffy white clouds and blue skies, clear weather, clear visibility all the time. And this is what we have seen. It's literally, you've noticed it too. Of course, you still get the trolls coming on and saying, well, we had the hottest year of ever last year. Well, okay, we might have had a couple of nice days, but I don't recall an April like this, or the end of March like this. As I say, going back to about 1986, 87, You know, I mean, they're the sort of weathers that we've seen this pattern in, and it's interesting that it wasn't long after that that they started spraying. So, you know, that's my opinion
Well,
on that.
have you advanced your thoughts on what maybe the ultimate purpose of chemtrailing is, and especially in light of flat Earth and maybe a changing and natural vertical commas environment that we find ourselves in? I say we're in a sort of electromagnetic environment, and what the chemtrails are actually doing are, well, clouds, right? Clouds are soil particulate, and it's the soil particulate that absorbs the water particulate. So when you have barium, lithium salts, and the like in the chemtrails that we're told, it's cloud seeding by another name. But what's the ultimate purpose? Are you still down the sort of they're trying to kill us all route with Alex Jones and all that sort of stuff, or have you advanced your thoughts on what?
No, well, it's always been, in my opinion, it's been geoengineering, isn't it? I mean, that's the way I've seen it. I've seen it as them trying to modify the weather. You know, I've never actually thought that they're actually trying to spray us and kill us. Obviously, you know, who knows what they put in those planes. But one thing you can say is that there is definitely a correlation between the lack of industry that's been going on. So all the plants and factories that have been shut down. No, less cars on the road, less planes in the air. You can actually see some beautiful weather, and we've had some glorious weather here in where I live anyway. Absolutely glorious in Blackpool. It's been pissing me off actually, because I've got a load of external decorating jobs on that I want to get started, and I can't do any of them because we're not key workers, so we're not allowed to go to work and earn a living. So it is pretty distressing that the whole of last year I only got probably 5 weeks of good enough weather to actually work outside on. Maybe 6 weeks that I would say was good enough. This year we've already had 4 weeks. And it just seems like it's going to be a glorious year.
Well, I suppose from your point of view, as you say, you don't have too much of an optimistic outlook, and this is not ending tomorrow or the day after. So, I mean, how are you coping emotionally with that? You know, you won't be able to, from your own point of view, you won't be able to go back, earn a living in the way you used to, and all these restrictions will continue to be in play. I mean, well, how does that affect your day-to-day mood? And do you literally see it continuing on for a matter of many months and years?
Yeah, I do. I can see this going on for. Obviously, we're on different belief systems here as to what's the actual reason behind this. Although we are still on the same wavelength as to what they're actually going to bring in on the back of this. You know, which is going to be probably a one world currency, a one world government, or at least try to. And they're going to do a lot of measures. They're going to try and put a lot of things in place that will take away our human rights and our rights as individuals. They're going to try and strip us away because of them, make the police more powerful. All those things I'm absolutely aware of and fully agree. The cause of that we can argue about all day long. We can argue whether it's a virus or we can argue whether it's 5G. The simple fact of the matter is, I was speaking out about this at the end of January, middle to the end of January, about probably 7 weeks before any other flat earther put a video out about it. And in that time, I spoke about the lockdowns that would be happening all around the world that nobody believed would actually happen. I talked about food running out, food shortages, supply chains shutting down, supply chain issues. Obviously, you get a lot of goods from China, but you've also got the other industries that would be suffering because of that, which would lead to the closing down of businesses. I talked about a whole bunch of stuff surrounding the issue that would, you know, I talked about the collapse of the stock markets, etc. And all this can be documented, and you can see that I was ahead of the curve on all of that. I was literally ahead of everybody on that. So the idea, a lot of stuff that takes time to actually pan out, takes time to pan out. I mean, when I first started talking about it, it took, 9-10 weeks for the lockdowns to start in the UK. So I had to put up with a lot of people saying that I was insane for 9 or 10 weeks until it's actually happened. So a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about, the food shortages that will come, it cannot not come. Pete, there isn't enough people harvesting the crops in the UK. What do you say about that? There isn't people going out and being able to dig up the potatoes, dig up the carrots, dig up the onions, dig up all the crops. All the crops are going to waste, right? We import.
No.
They are.
Pete. Well, you could say it like that, but no, this has all been pre-planned. And look, there's fundamental questions that we're all asking ourselves these days. Now, when you talk about a new world order, well, what was the old world about? Of course, we know it was all illusory, right? It was all everything to do with a spinning ball Earth. And I say that that's all, history now. It's the end of the world as we know it, and we feel fine. Now, when it comes to food supply, we're all surviving well. Are you not doing well right now, Ranty? Are you not looking at maybe what you have been putting into your stomach, and what do you need in relation to what you want? I think that's a bigger question that we are all concerning ourselves with. And I see plenty of people now who are getting exercise, eating better than they've ever done before. I definitely have a more positive bent and a twist in all of this, but just because you have a certain interpretation of things, that doesn't make it the only interpretation as well. So I'd like to know how you're so sort of set.
No, I agree. I agree with you on that, and I just want to answer the snooch here, who's obviously some new troll that comes in who says,
yes, the snooch is here, is he? How you doing?
Yeah, no food shortage, blah 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 blah. Did I say there was food shortages yet? I said there will be food shortages, and I've talked about it in depth as to how it will pan out. Right now, we're in the harvest time. Do you think we're all going to run out of food during the harvest when we can still pick some crops, but not all of them? It's going to take a few more months now before these food shortages really kick in. So the idea that you're saying this now, that there's no food shortages, sure. But like I say, everything I've talked about has taken time to actually materialise. I'm not here for the win here and now. I'm trying to advise you guys the best I can as to how I see things are going to happen in the future. And as far as I'm concerned, as a tick list, everything's gone pretty much as I've said. So the idea that you're just saying that there's no food shortages right now, fine, that's fine. But it doesn't take a genius to see the knock-on effect of what's going to happen and how it's going to pan out. If you've not got people in the fields picking the crops aren't going to make it to market. If you haven't got transporting the goods from point A to point B, i.e. to the grain to the pig farmer, then the pigs aren't going to get fed. If you've got the slaughterhouses that are going under, then they aren't going to get the cattle to kill the cattle so that the farmers can sell the cattle. And you can see this happening. You can see this happening in America. It's already reported in America. It's already reported there, Pete Shea. It really is.
Well, I mean, listen, this Easter has been cancelled, and hundreds of thousands of lambs earthwide have been saved, right, from the dinner table and from our bellies to be just excreted out. Now, this is like a transforming time, right? Flat Earth wasn't about nothing. We're coming back into reality. So what the actual true nature of reality is, we're going to be finding out in quick order. I also noticed, talking to people, that there's sort of internal changes going on. People's spirits are lightening. They're awakening up to different possibilities.
Yeah.
And all of what you mentioned there, who wants to keep the slaughterhouses going?
Yeah,
I don't.
Well, to be honest,
I mean, are you willing to give up your bacon, Ranty?
Well, here we go, Pete. Right, they were talking about, is it like GMO meats, right? Modified in some kind of laboratory, right, that they're going to start providing for people. So if you want your beef, it's going to be grown in a laboratory rather than having the slaughterhouses. I mean, come on, right? But anyway, as I say, going back to what you were saying about your own personal experience, well, there's two ways to look at it, right? Right now, I have a lot of friends that are suffering mentally because they haven't got that contact, that physical connection with other people, because they're having to stay in the houses. They're finding it really difficult not being able to go out, not being able to socialise, go to the things that they would normally go to, go and watch a movie, say, or go and get a meal out somewhere. They're not even allowed to walk for more than an hour out of the house, and they're not allowed to drive anywhere to go to an idyllic location to go and perhaps have a walk around. So
Sure.
if you live more than half a mile's walk away from the seafront, you cannot physically walk, because they will say to you, if you've driven, you get fined. So you can't drive, you can't walk. So a lot of people are suffering because they can't do a lot of things they want to do. They can't meet the friends, they can't see the family, you know, and it's having a mental effect on them, a really harsh effect on them mentally. And do you know something? I'm missing work. I really am missing work. And I never thought I'd get to that point where I actually miss work, but I really do. And all my friends seem to say the same, that they're really starting to miss work now, right? Then you go on to, so it's not just the mental health side of things, but on the other side of the coin, yeah, like you say, you can find this spiritual awakening, because when you're distanced from your family, you've only got your own thoughts, and you've only got your own. You can meditate if you wanted to, or you could do research, you could learn a new skill on the internet, you could look into things. So yeah, there is positives, but I think the negatives are far outweighing it. I don't think people have understood how mentally challenging this whole scenario is for people being locked in the houses, because it's
Well,
driving me nuts. It literally is driving me nuts.
yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you can cope with it, right? And people will be able to cope with it. What it is a reevaluation of everything, Ranty, and everyone has to go through that process, right? Remember, we're all flat earthers here. We understand the vast majority of our fellow man are living under an illusion, a complete fantasy, really, because everything is based on a fantasy, right? Which is the spinning ball. Now, we're all in the same boat. So a few hard and tough questions, tough times have to be faced. I knew this would happen. It's like coming out and leaving the safe comfort right behind. The illusion has to be shattered. So it's going to be painful. But people are strong enough to deal with that. They've been through more traumatic times. One thing as well, remember, it's not as if people are in complete isolation. Everybody now has like internet contact. So there is contact between friends. And there's a great sense of sort of camaraderie there as well. Let me just say as well, I think there's a few different sort of sections it's divided into. The likes of my mother won't leave the house either. She's paying attention to the mainstream news, and there is, I think there was 33 deaths announced the other day.
Oh
Another
my
hoax
god.
code, right? And the
Yeah.
people in the know. But I've been telling my mother for years about the hoaxes. The way I look at it is that she's going through a process she has to go through, because more and more sort of farcical information is being presented her way, so she doesn't know what to think. I've been saying to her constantly, imagine they come out and tell the world that it's a hoax in a few months or a few weeks' time, how you would feel then. I said there would be an awakening like none other, from the old to the young, because everybody has been affected by it. And once people can see the hoax can be perpetrated on that scale, then they can look back at, well, that's the key saying these days, isn't it? Flatten the curve when it comes to corona. You know, that flat earth association being made automatically to us, right? But yeah, when they're made aware, as I see it, of the greater hoaxes, right, then they can look at, let's say, the lesser hoaxes, like, I don't know, 9/11, spinning ball earth, and everything associated with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are stronger than that. Don't be. Listen, in terms of challenges, Ranty, this isn't like you were walking through Siberia and you have to make it to the next town before you starve or whatever to death.
Yeah,
No.
sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, life could be a lot tougher, believe you me. Yeah, I understand that. But in the, you know, we've been conditioned to live a different way. If you look at the way people live in Africa, and how they have to sometimes walk a couple of miles to go and get fresh water, or hunt for the food, or something like that, you know, or grow their own crops. Here in the UK, we've been brought up differently. We've been brought up to just
Right.
go down to the corner shop. So we haven't been mentally conditioned to suffer the same way that
No.
other people have. So
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. That mightn't be suffering to that person who's walking for a jar of water. That might be a pleasure to walk that distance. We don't know that. It might be an absolute pain in the arse for someone in so-called civilized world to walk down to the corner shop, because so much else comes along with civilized life, you know, including whatever, depression, head problems.
yeah.
So yeah, we don't know that. You know what I mean, Ranty? A simple life is sometimes the best life. I had a friend that went to Cuba, and she lived in the heartland of the metropolis in California, well, just outside it actually. But yeah, the whole pace of life was absolutely different. A poverty-stricken country, but the people were at their very core happier, and that was tangible. And sometimes, you know, what does our life amount to? I speak for myself, not a hill of beans. Except for the fact that I brought a beautiful child into this world, everything else is bollocks. Honestly, just from the moment I can remember to up to this point. It's all theater to one degree or another. You know what I mean? So again, I think it's an individual thing as well, and we're all sort of coming at this from different perspectives and avenues. I just wanted to say that that was the aim. That's been aimed, the mainstream media, the newspapers, the radio, aimed at people in my mother's age, maybe, you know, mid-50s up to mid-70s. And then you have the younger people. I'm 48, so maybe a bit younger than me even. People who are active on their iPhones and laptops or whatever. They're being told a different sort of conspiracy, the hoax possibility to cover up the danger that will come with the 5G networks, which are being installed left, right, and center around the world. So yeah, everyone is on a different sort of roller coaster in one sense. But once again, it is the individual's roller coaster. And look, sometimes we have to go through our own all the time we have to go through our own sort of pains to exit the other side. But is it worth it if the illusion will be shattered? I say yes. And let me just say this as well. I see this as a transformative period. It's not going to be months or years. It's in quick order. Within the next month, I say this is settled.
You say in the next, are you going to put your stamp of approval on that?
Well, what is it? It's the 12th of April today, or sorry, 13th of April, Easter Monday. And I'm going to say, well, two dates are with me. The 4/22, right, which is April 22nd, and the 5th of May. I married Isis on the 5th day of May. Easter is about Isis. So I say, yeah, roughly within a month, there will be a massive transformation. And I actually think, right, just in my own thoughts, that all of this 5G connecting, they're creating central hubs. And just like they did in 9/11, in a sense, they took over the airwaves, and pretty much every country was broadcast, apparently live footage of planes crashing in the aftermath. I think they're going to do possibly a similar thing. And just the truth this time will be broadcast, you know, nothing but the truth, because people are too informed now. I mean, they're talking about the corona hoax possibility with the /5G mainstream here. Mainstream. My neighbor came up yesterday, a 70-year-old woman, and said, I was listening to this guy on the radio and he was talking about this. And I said, well, isn't that something? So, you know, yeah, make of it what you will. I mean, when you talk about day-to-day life, I mean, are you finding that any more difficult? Is it just about trying to fill your time? Or, I mean, yeah. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I'll say that in a second. So I just want to get confirmation. You reckon by the 5th of May at the latest, probably?
5th of May, yeah. Well, what is it? Say a month. In the next month is a massively transforming time.
Okay, so within a month, massively transforming time.
Let me say
that the lockdowns may ease ever so slightly towards the end of a month from now, but then they will be brought back again when apparently this all flares back up again, and we will be in this perpetual state of being in lockdown for at least 18 months. That would be my guess.
Wow, that is wow. So in one sense, Ranty, could the whole Flat Earth arena have been a psyop, a setup, you know, to divide and conquer? So, you know, people put in place, and then you have a sort of an enemy to focus on, which are the people who will resist science and, you know, all modern sort of knowledge. And then ostracization begins. Could you see that as a possibility? It would make sense if this corona thing was all a plan going back, what, years?
Let's well, I'll talk about it in a second. I just want to answer Ronnie for Shea. He says, why is Ranty not working? And then he says he doesn't know anybody that cannot go to work. But then he says, I think he says, where is it? He lives in South Carolina. So here in the UK, we've been told that essentially, if you're not a key worker, if you're not a key worker, you're to stay in to save lives. And I think there's a saying going around. Is it what's that saying, that motto that they've been punting, Pete? It's something like stay at home, save lives, something like that. And basically, you know, you can get furloughed if you're actually employed. If you're employed by a company, you can get furloughed, and the government will pay 80%. But I'm self-employed. So unfortunately, I don't get that furloughed money. So there we go. So I've got to stay at home. That's why. Anyway.
Yeah, you're forced to do that, and like here they're calling it cocooning. Isn't it very interesting? I've been talking about a transformative time. Well, a cocoon is what a larva goes into, right, and emerges a butterfly. And that sort of analogy has been made more and more. And again, with all of these little cues, again, flattening the curve, Trump talking about a hoax, all of these little cues telling us, all may not be as it seems. And, whatever that guy is asking the question there, look, it doesn't matter what you do or what you don't do. The one thing I would say to the individual, and I'm not just saying this, I've been to the police station yesterday. No one has any authority over you. The very least you can do is express your knowledge, I guess. Well, you must know it's a hoax at this stage, Ranty. You can't be on the fence anymore. Come on. It's a hoax, right?
Well, whether this is a hoax, absolutely not.
It's not a hoax.
No, I mean, I just think that I think people.
That's a baller's position. You know that, right?
Well, no,
the ballers say it's all real.
Well, hang on. I was saying it was real before the ballers even knew it was a thing. I was saying it was real before the flat earthers even knew it was a thing. I was the first person speaking about it on any of the platforms on this flat earth topic. So I have rights on that. So my rights on that are essentially saying, hey. Real. Well, no, I said, and I've stuck to it. I think there's something going around that's killing people. That's it, and I'm going to stick to that. Whether or not the figures are fudged, who knows? We'll find out in time. All this will come out in the wash. But as of right now, I'm of the opinion, as I have been from day one, that something is killing people, and that's just the way it is. So,
something is, right. Well, as my neighbour said, no one is dying from pneumonia or flus or any viral illnesses anymore.
Well, I think corona. I think it's well, there we go. That's what I'm saying. I have heard reports that any death right now is essentially being claimed as dying of this coronavirus. Yeah. Whether or not that can be factually proved out in time, I guess only time will tell. I mean, this is all speculation that people are putting out on the internet in the middle of something happening. I think we'll only get this data together at some point down the line. It won't be here right now. It's all just somebody says something. Hang on, wait a minute. Somebody says something, and then a couple of mistakes are perhaps made here and there, and then somebody says something, and before you know it, it snowballs into this massive conspiracy that everybody that's dying is dying of coronavirus. And look, at the end of the day, as I say, we're going to wait to see about that. If you look at what's happened in China, for instance, now that's a big thing. 31 million 31 million less phone unit users in China since the start of this. Where have all those people disappeared to?
I don't know. I think I met about 4 Chinese people in my life. I never talked to any of them really. So
well, in China, they need the phone for everything. They literally have to have a phone. You have to have a mobile phone by law. And if you don't have one, they'll give you one. You have to have a mobile phone. It's used for paying for goods. It's used for for verifying who you are, for all your internet needs, everything. You have to have a mobile phone, and there's 31 million less users of the internet, of these mobile phones since the start of the coronavirus. So, I mean, kind of suspects something happened.
Well, I mean, you can suspect all you like. Well, I was going to ask you with all the evidence or lack of it coming in, when are you going to start considering seriously that it is a hoax? And, not just say we'll find out in time. This is all about the individual as well, right? So we got to sort of come to some sort of terms as we move forward in our thinking about what might be going on. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck nowhere. And look, I think that's where you might be stuck at the minute, Ranty. If you don't mind me saying, if you say that you anticipate this getting worse and continuing for 18 months, that's a hellhole. That's a hellhole to be at a place in your mind anyway. And if that was the case, well, fucking, there's going to have to be revolution before that then. There's going to have, next time you see a cop on the road, will you tell him that it's all a hoax and he has no right to do that? The legal name fraud is exposed. That becomes more pertinent now than ever. And I've said this to police as well, and I've been up there only yesterday, right? So what I actually see happening, right, is now, and I've said this to a few people now as well, doctors especially, all the people that were in positions of authority are now all going to come under questioning because they're all pushing this hoax. And as I say, in my own brain, the hoax will be revealed, and then everybody will wake up and see that those people who were supposed to be in positions of service, really, were not trustworthy. So again, another catalyst towards a mass transformation of our mindset more than anything else. That's what I see it. We have to follow the evidence.
Mm.
But as an individual,
as I say,
that's all. I'm actually tired of all of this.
Well, here's the
Ranty, honest to God, I'm tired of it all. I'm tired of all of the same talks on the same hangouts. Nathan Oakley is doing the same thing. Jose is doing the same thing. There's nothing new being talked about, and I say nothing pertinent, really. Flat Earth was just the beginning. So all of this, in one sense, has been, I think, scripted out for us to read. So how well you're doing with the reading, I guess, is down to yourself. That's my own thoughts on it, right? It's all farce, isn't it? All farce at this stage.
I mean, as you can look at it that way, Pete. If you want to look at it that way, I tend to look at things in a more realistic way,
negative way, right? It's
there's no fear going on. Everything I've talked about to try and say to people, look at this, wake up, use your own thoughts about how if you've got money invested in shares, address that. I literally did a stream, I think the day before the stock markets opened on the Monday, and I said to them, the stock markets are going to plunge, and you need to think, if you've got money in your stock markets, perhaps withdraw it, sell them, get out of that, because you're gonna have a serious ass pounding over the next couple of weeks. And sure enough, they went promptly and lost a third of the value. Right, so I mean, this is because I can see how things are going to play out, and I've always just tried to say to people, look, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. You're going to get locked down. You're not going to get locked down. It's utter bullshit. Utter bullshit. Nobody's going to get locked down. I'll give you a typical example. Sleeping Warrior did a post a couple of months ago where he said, "Well, that's it. One person's died in the UK. Nobody's going to get any time off work. Nobody's going to get locked down. Nobody's going to get this. Nobody's going to get that. Everybody it's no worse than the flu. Blah, 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 blah. Right? And where are we now? The whole world's in fucking lockdown. Right?
And where is he now? You used to be great friends, and now you need your friends more than ever. But where is he now? Is your friendship finished?
Yeah, I mean, you got to say our friendship's finished. I mean, the guy's just a complete moron. He did a video claiming that I'd lied to my subscribers. That guy that came on the show, and I put the voice changer on him, so it edited out his voice. He thought it was me, and he went on a 7 or 8 minute rant about how I was misleading my subscribers, how I was overtly dishonest. I was this, I was that, the other. He had Nathan Oakley agreeing with him, saying, "Of course it was Ranty. Of course it was Ranty on a voice changer." Blah 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 blah. Right? Well, it was all just bullshit, right? But this is what, rather than getting in touch with me and asking me and saying, was it you on a voice changer? Well, if they'd have said that, I'd have said, no, here, listen to this clip. I'll prove that it wasn't me. It would have been sorted out, but they decided to do it publicly. They decided to do it very, to everybody, to a very large audience. And the retraction video, the video that he did was a mocking video of me again. And he still never apologised to me, even when I contacted him on Skype. And I thought, well, fuck you, motherfucker. Don't treat me like
that, right?
Don't treat me like a cunt. Don't treat me like a cunt. And then he went on. So because he was then proven wrong on that, you know what he's like? He has this big ego that he loves to massage, right? And he doesn't like to lose an argument. And me disproving him wrong about that one thing sent him on this massive... I'm wrong about everything. Everything that I was putting out about the coronavirus, he went on the opposite of and said it was the opposite of it. It didn't matter what it was the opposite. Every single thing, and every single thing that I've done, I've literally proved him wrong on. Every single point. I mean, he even got to the point where he was saying, it's not statistically important if it's not 5%. I'm like, oh my. He even had all the people saying, what, you're saying mortality rate isn't, 5% mortality rate isn't statistically important if it's more than 5%, but he got it completely mixed up. And now when you look at it here in the UK, the statistics here in the UK, if you believe the statistics, it's running around about 12%. But he's gone very quiet about that, hasn't he? The mortality rate, 97,000 people infected, 12,000 dead, that's around about 12%. He literally, everything that he's put out, every single bullshit comment he's put out has been proven wrong, right? Proven wrong. And the guy's just a complete moron.
Well, it brings into question then maybe his motivations from the start, right? I have strong opinions about these things. People like Nathan and Riley were put in place. About yourself, Randy, you said that he approached you early doors and sort of, I'm not going to say cozied up to you, but almost recruited you in a sense. Is that true, lad?
Yeah, well, not recruited me. No, I mean, I had my own channel. I was doing a channel about chemtrails. Funnily enough, so literally what we started the show about, talking about the clear weather and stuff. But yeah, so my channel is about chemtrails, and I bought a P900 because I looked into flat Earth and put a video out. And it even started off our relationship, if you can call it a relationship, friendship. Being completely wrong about me, because he immediately did a live stream because he saw a video pop up, flat Earth, Blackpool Tower, right? And because I didn't know anything about what had been going on, he'd been having this massive argument with Dazza the cameraman, right? So he was a flat earther, Dazza the cameraman was a globe earther, and he was having a lot of stick about Blackpool Tower and flat Earth. So because he'd seen a video pop up in his stream, because he obviously was probably looking at it every fucking 10 minutes, checking, refreshing the page. And within 10 minutes of me putting this video out about going to Southport and seeing Blackpool Tower, and I'd titled it Flat Earth Blackpool or whatever, Blackpool Tower, he went live immediately with my channel name in the actual description of the channel, of the thing, and said, "I can't believe there's a troll here, trolling me over Blackpool Tower. What a troll. I'm going to watch this video now. I'm going to watch this video, listen to this troll." And then he's going live, and I watched this back the following day because I actually searched for my channel name and saw that my channel name had been brought up on his channel. So I watched the video and I can see this guy losing his shit about Blackpool Tower and saying that I'm a globe Earth troll, trolling him. And then he gets halfway through the video and he goes, "Yeah, oh, actually, he might be a flat earther, actually. And then by the end of the thing, he says, maybe I'll try and get in touch with him." And then he ended his stream, but he left it up there, and then he got in touch with me that way. So even at the start of the fucking friendship, he was getting things wrong. I mean, he's not done fuck of the year for no reason.
Yeah. It's all, well, to be honest with you, I'm bored to shitless by it all at this stage. There's so many people playing their role in this arena that anyone listening tonight is a genuine, honest inquirer. If you haven't recognized those playing a part on both sides at this stage, well, then you're behind the curve, right? You're behind the curve. So I think ultimately this is all a greater theatre. Riley playing his part. If I will say, Ranty, I do hold that you're still playing your part, but it's possible that you have been duped. I know that, listen, the Black Swan came out on 1/1/2020 for a reason, when QE finally got it, right? He was there in 2016 when all of this stuff was wide awake, had some brilliant evidences way back then, and he wasn't being picked up on. I've said that to you before. That all could have happened throughout the intervening years, but it suddenly came out on 1/1/2020. And Black Swan is a military term for unexpected and a earth-changing event, right? That was for me a notice to all that the corona was on its way. Right, so that's my mindset, and all the actors and all the characters in play. This is why all the ballers who know that the Earth was flat and stationary before you did, when I say you, I mean everyone listening, and agreed to play a role, right? This is what they've all been playing up to. And when I mentioned that you're taking a similar stance on the corona to the ballers, that seems to be their stance. It is definitely genuine, and if you question it at all, like the fucking Challenger hoax, for instance, or something like that, NASA fakery. You're a science denier. You're a despicable human being shitting on people who are really suffering. This sort of attitude when it comes to corona. So it's just sort of tiring for me at this stage. I'm actually, I'm continually reminding people, pay attention to your reality. The cloud repeating patterns are there for all to see. In one way, I think the chemtrails, CHME, right? Trails. Make it easier for us to see that. Once we recognize that there is a pattern being expressed, then we can place it together with other things we've learned about the nature of our Earth, the flat and stationary top that we live on, and the association with the skylights. But yeah, these are all things that we need as individuals to be concerning ourselves with, because we've seen through the people acting their part. Now, if you haven't seen through Riley until these latter days, well, that's one thing, but I certainly saw through him and many others from early on, because you learn more about what people and their motivations are about what they won't talk about over what they will continuously over and over and over again will talk about. And for me, Riley, Nathan, QE, these are all about one side constantly re-engaging the other side, and you see it's the same characters going back and forth, the same arguments being juggled back and forth, and that's fine for people who are entering the arena, and there should be more and more, right? I tell people about flat earth all the time, and just a few basic terms, and encourage them to look into it.
Well, here we go then, Pete. Here we go then,
Pete.
The
arena is building up.
So I've got 150 people watching right now, so I'm going to shout it out now. So there's myself and Pete Shea in here. I'll take a back seat. You know, you've heard Pete Shea saying that when you're talking about Sleeping Warrior and Nathan Oakley, they only seem to argue against the same people. So if there's anybody in the chat that has never had the opportunity, Globe Earther, to come on and have a civilized chat with somebody, you know, send me a message, ranty@rantyflatearth.com, or find me on Skype. It's dead easy. You can find me on Skype. You just search for my channel name, Ranty Flat Earth. Couldn't be easier. You'll definitely find me there. There's my logo. That's what I look like when you search for me in Skype. I'm there with a white t-shirt and a cap on. You can't miss me. So if you want to come in and you want to debate somebody and you want to be one of the people that, as Pete Shea's pointing out here, always seem to come and debate on Nathan's show, well, if you want to be different to that and you want to stand up and say you've got the right about you're right about the globe, come on and add me on Skype and debate Pete Shea right now. Prove to him that this channel isn't an echo chamber. You know, I've never put anything on this channel. Anybody can come in. In fact, my whole premise for this entire channel was to actually bring Globers in to specifically talk about why they think the globe's the globe, and also then get a debate going between flat earthers who can say that they can disprove their points. You know, this was the whole setup for this entire format, and that's what I still want. So, jump on.
Yeah, and look, for me, there's no debate anymore. Once you realize that there is no honest spirit of inquiry to begin with, you know, you're arguing with people who have you known any ball? Let me ask you this: have you known any baller or ball earther or baller board, I call them, to change their point of view on anything or to concede anything whatsoever ever? Have you known any of them to do that?
Well, no, I mean, I say that they've never done that, but yes, they have. But they only did it in the very beginning when they first were new to the actual debate side of things. After they've had a couple of shows and people have actually got to speaking to them, the Globers have got a very strict, you know, you do not deviate from the path.
Right.
You cannot concede a single thing. It's not, you can't do that. Which is why when I had that debate with Fight the Flat Earth, I actually found him more amenable to actually being more reasonable, you know, on certain points where I could say, can you understand when you look at this, you know, this in my model is a better representation than in your model. And he's gone, yeah, I mean, so he was conceding points, but I mean, you know, I mean, that's just because he's probably never debated somebody like me on optics, but ultimately, you know, I had him in a position in both of them actually where they had to concede points, which was fine. That's what I would like, and I would expect that because I can do that with a Glober. If a Glober comes in and they make a damn good point, I'm going to say, well, you've got a damn good point on that. I mean, I actually was speaking to Conspiracy Cats, was emailing me, and I said to him, I said, look, Wolfie has been crying out for a flat earther to challenge him on flight paths. Why has no flat earther stood up and said, I'll take Wolfie on, and I'll host the platform here. I'll let Wolfie come on. I'll let a flat earther come on who thinks that they can stand up to Wolfie and talk about flight paths, because I think that it's a really big, important point that we never seem to get that debate going. But we do know that the Globers are all over this. They want to have this debate. Why are flat earthers not standing up to that and saying, I've looked into this, I've researched that? Because I haven't researched that, Pete, right? I physically haven't done that, but I'm sure there are flat earthers out there that have. So let's get that debate going. You know, let's get some progress made.
Well, it's not. This is my point. It's not progress. All this stuff has been done before, and the point is,
has it?
right?
Where's it been done,
Yes.
Pete? Where's it been
Oh
done?
man,
Where's
come on.
the flight path debates happened in the past with all the new data, all the new people that have joined the debates on both sides that have now got more answers. When's the most recent debate happened, Pete?
Oh, it's been a long time now, but I'm saying I'm going back to some of the earlier days, 2016 maybe. But all of these things were looked at,
Yeah,
discrepancies
2016. It's
between flight
2020,
routes.
Pete. It's
I
2020,
know.
and I want to get this debate going because it's really, it's a fundamental thing. We have a lot of things on our side that are great. Flat earthers have a lot of. We can counter them, but I've never seen a proper debate about flight paths. Genuinely,
Well,
I've been in this debate about 4.5 years, and I've never seen a debate about it. Although I have heard globe earthers calling out for it, so I would like that to happen.
Well, I mean, who springs? Someone like Brian, Brian, my fellow Irishman. I don't think he comes here, but he would seem to me as somebody who's researched into that area somewhat. But does anyone spring to your mind who would be the best representative of that?
No, because like I say, it's not something I've looked into, Pete. I've never looked into
Yeah.
it. It's never something I've Googled to look for a flat earther talking about it. I've had a lot of other things that I've looked into, but I've not looked into that. But I'm quite happy to say that I don't understand that, and I would never debate anybody on that. But
Riley would probably be a good person there to collate data and have a good reasonable argument against the likes of Wolfie. But my point is, right, they never concede anything. So at this stage, we have to realize that they're playing a part. And once you see that it's not an honest spirit of inquiry, for instance, if I was having an argument with somebody, I was at early days where I left the ball, I moved to flat earth, but I wasn't sort of settled there, and someone came up with an excellent argument, like the concave model, for instance. Some very, very good reasoning behind all of that, very good graphics and very good sound presentation to it. So that was, but that's not happening anymore. Even if no one can compete against Wolfie, whoever the fuck he is, that won't shift my mind. I'm settling myself that the Earth is, in relation to the spinning ball, and flat and stationary. I know there's more to the picture, but if someone wants to do that, that's their own business. I'm personally not interested. I don't think anyone listening in the chat who's a flat earther now is too bothered about what any debates anymore, Ranty. See, because it's all pretty much been done. And you're not going to convince anybody else. You're not going to convince anyone on their side. And all you'll be doing is spending a whole hell of a lot of time making a convincing argument and just convincing people on your own side that what they already accept to be the case is the case again.
well, we all know, we all suspect, that the Globers haven't got a good enough argument to win this, but we just need a flat earther to come on that's researched it, that can do a good job in battling back against that one thing, because these are physical things that we can actually we've got an aeroplane that we can sit in and we can go from point A to point B, and we can get these flight paths sorted out one way or another, and then maybe if we jig everything together we can get some kind of idea of how we got from point A to point B,
Sure.
But we can check all kinds of other data. Then we can check the wind speeds, what was the wind speeds up high, what was the wind speeds down low, all this kind of thing that may add to some kind of effect on the speeds, perhaps, and we can start correlating a lot of stuff. But as I say, I've not looked into it, but I know the Globers want to debate on it, and I'm saying, hey, flat earthers, stand up and say, I've researched it, I want to debate, I want to get into this. And how I'd do it is I'd say, okay then, do it in the same format that I've done it all along. We'll let a Glober come in and do a presentation, we'll let a flat earther come in and do a presentation, we'll then give them a showdown where they get to debate each other on certain topics with a 10 or 15 minute or a 20-minute timeline between each, and even if it's done over a few shows, but we'll have a serious in-depth thing on it. And the Globers are parroting Wolfie as being their number one guy, so hey, look, Conspiracy Cat says, why didn't you get Wolfie on? I'm sure Conspiracy Cat has got some kind of leverage with Wolfie. He might want to come on the show. So put the word out that I'm looking for a flat earther to actually stand up and say, I want to take this challenge on, and I want to be able to carry the torch for flat earth on this subject. We,
Well, I'd step aside on that one because I don't give a shit anymore, and I have no real interest in dealing with lawyers, or at least trying to convince them of anything. You know what I mean? I'm sort of settled in where I'm at now. But for anyone new there, obviously, if someone wants to rise to the challenge, a lot could be learned from that. And indeed, when it comes to, listen, if I put my mind to it, Ranty, I reckon I could have a map and a model of Earth within 2 weeks. Because not in the traditional way, though. It would be following the clues laid down, because I hold that everything is already known. So once we come to a certain point, right, then we can sort of continue on with the running with the baton, and see where else. And this is what the whole dodo is about, right? The dodo never existed. So through the greater crafting, the creation of this character, symbolism is intertwined within its story, and it's how it relates to the flat earth, the layout of the land. The Gleason's map is given to us, right? So when you turn it upside down, dodo jumps out at you. But that's the sort of thing. I'd be following a different set of clues. But look, let me ask you, Ranty. It seems a bit contradictory in one sense that you're anticipating this sort of slow decline, and we're going to be caught up in this lockdown, unlawful situation for whatever, a year and a half. Why does this sort of stuff matter anymore? Why would you just be playing into the hands of the people that you're going to be up against when we come out of this, i.e. the New World Order? I mean, do you understand the difficulty there? I mean, what's the emphasis on? What are you getting out of this, is my point, at this late stage? What's there to be gained?
To be gained, when you say it's a late stage, it's a case of just making people aware of what's actually going to go down. If you've got family, if you've got friends, if you want to, have some kind of existence in a few years' time, then you need to start preparing. That's been my stance on this, because I can see that we've had a very good run, and I would imagine you have too, Pete. That luckily where we live, we haven't had to have all the hardships in certain other places. If you look at how they live in China, if you look how they live in Africa and the Middle East and all that kind of stuff, I mean, they've had it tough. Constantly under the threat of being bombed or killed or no food or anything. We've literally had a golden age, and we haven't had to have any of that troubles.
Hang on, Ranty. Hang on there. Listen, if your mind isn't at ease as well, hell can take place within there, right? It doesn't matter what you say. I mentioned about Cuba and the people in the poorest of situations with the happiest of spirits. Also, regarding what we hear from the mainstream, if you remember the movie Borat, it sort of presented a picture of the Kazakhstan, right, as this poverty-ridden, backward country, where all manner of freakish behavior and incestuous sort of times were at play. But when you actually went and looked at Kazakhstan, and especially the capital Astana, the complete opposite is presented to you, which is a sort of a futuristic, modern setting that almost defies belief, actually, because it's so out of this world. So yeah, in regards to what is actually going on, have you heard about the Chinese ghost cities, for instance? My point being there that, look, a certain picture may be presented, and you go, oh, look how well I have it in relation to those people. First of all, that picture that's been presented on the news or mainstream mightn't be true, and second of all, that is not a true test of contentment or happiness, what you have or what you don't have in one sense. You know what I mean? So it's about looking at it in a different way from my point of view. But I see Mind of God is here. Maybe it's something to challenge. Say something.
The Mind of God.
But Ranty, I saw a video on those locusts, man. That's crazy.
You did
not know it was like that.
You finally looked into that, then?
Man, like the volume, the concentration of them. I didn't realize it was like that and that rampant across the whole continent.
Do you want to tell my audience what you listened to and what information you gathered from that?
Well, I just saw that. I just thought it was sort of isolated, and all that kind of stuff, but. The amount that they said that concentration was able to consume food-wise was like some absurd number of human beings. Just I don't even want to say the number because I'll misquote it, but it was like 80,000 people or something like that. Something ridiculous that those locusts can consume in like a week or something like that. So it's scary because. I'm assuming what would be needed to kill them or to limit them is not also good for the ecosystem. And then they're able to move very quickly and then get to different parts of Africa fast.
Are you okay, mind the God? Were you attacked by locusts or something like that?
No, Ranty mentioned this last hangout that there was some locust thing, and I didn't know how serious it was because, here in America, we just kind of get caught up in our own problems, and really we're not told this kind of stuff, what's going on worldwide.
That's another thing to be scared of, man.
But Pete, dude, did you get a job with the government? You sound like an agent today. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you so optimistic now? What happened?
Listen, mind that talk at the start there. I've been optimistic all along. I predicted, and you can go back and check my own hangout for this, and it doesn't even matter, but it's just there on record, for Easter 2019 when this transformation will be taking place. But I was always of a positive mind. I was never it was at the start, right? A new world order, chemtrails, all this was.
Hey, listen, just before we get into this, guys, I want to do a massive shout out to Roxanne, the globalist denier, who sent over her stream when her stream ended. I haven't had the chance to actually get around to actually shouting that out right now, but I'll make a massive, massive thank you to Roxanne there. Right, let's get back to this.
How does the government agent sound? That in spite, I'm going to tell you happiness in spite of all the sadness and the horrors.
Sounds like somebody who says people who are in poverty are happier, or something like that you said earlier. That sounds like government propaganda.
It's not poverty. Poverty is a relative term. I mentioned about a friend going over to Cuba from California, so a big contrast there, but how she found the inherent sort of spirit of the people, happiness levels to be much higher than what she found amongst her family and friends at home in California in modern day living. That's all I was trying to say, point out there.
How does someone measure that? Like that.
This is my point, yeah. Well, you measure it by going to a place like that. The reason, because Ranty mentioned about Africa and someone having to travel for water, I guess you can measure it by going to a place like that, being around these people and gauging their happiness level in relation to your own, right?
Right. So that's a good point. That could just be, and I'm not trying to troll you, but just thinking about this, because we tend to have this mindset towards people in actual poverty. It actually reflects our destitute condition and our internal poverty and really our...
exactly.
Right. So that doesn't necessarily mean that person that you're looking at is in a state that we should glorify, right? Anybody who's like not able to eat, doesn't have access to education, is not healthy, that's not a situation we should ever uplift, right? Or glorify.
Right.
Okay, that's good. That's all I wanted to say about that. Because that just sounds like stuff that we hear from like these Hollywood people. They go over there and they're like, oh, so transformational, they're so much happier than I am and all that kind of stuff. That's not allowed, to ever make light of people's poverty. Okay.
Listen, this is all illusion, right? We're flat earthers. We realize that whatever illusion was in place is shattered for us now. So what does real reality consist of? These are the bigger questions. And I mentioned about paying attention to the clouds earlier on. This massive transformations happening externally, and I say as well as internally. Sure, there must be people in the chat here, maybe yourself, Mind of God, or Ranty as well, that can feel something changing internally. What do you think about Mandela effects and stuff like the heart has moved now into more central position as opposed to having leaning to the left? All of these sort of things. I mean, do you apply them to your thinking? Is there anything miraculous happening in your life at all?
Related to Mandela effect?
Related to anything, really. Someone said it to me today that they had a thought, right? And it's almost as if it materialized because they willed it to happen. And they were surprised by it. And it's little things like that sort of keep happening. And people feeling differently about themselves now that the times are sort of changing. You know what I mean? There's more time to start thinking and considering what exactly everything up to now has consisted of. So,
well, let me just do a shout out to Amanda Young, who says, shout out to Ranty, Mind of God, and Pete Shea. Thank you for the super chat.
Hi, Amanda.
As for the Mandela effect and stuff, well, personally, I've never had anything that's affected me. I mean, I've noticed things that have seemed to have changed, from past movies and stuff, or past events. But for me personally, no, I've never had an awakening or anything or something. I have had probably half a dozen experiences where I've had deja vu, where I've actually felt that I've actually already been in that moment before.
Right.
and had a very strong feeling about that. You know, like, oh, here we oh, it's like you don't know what you're thinking for about 10 seconds, and then it goes away, and then it's like, oh, that felt like I've been there before. I remember that, and you know, oh wow, you know, and then you know, but that's it. But
well, hang on, Ranty. Hang on. You also talk about, and I meant to ask you about that again, which is really interesting. But you also talk about having an imaginary friend, a lumberjack or whatever, as a youngster.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty out of the standard here. Now, let me just say, I hold that we live on the underside of the felled or divided tree of life, Ars Starkis, and of course, a lumberjack fells trees, right? But I mean, that's a pretty out there experience, and most people can't relate to it. I mean, has that ended, or how do you gauge that sort of experience now with a more mature mind?
No, absolutely. I remember it crystal clear as you know, and I have no doubts. Telling it to people and saying that you know everything that I thought was real back then was real in my mind. Whatever happened then, to me, was real, and it's been proven to some respects, because my mum would say to me that she remembers me talking to this person behind the door. So she would have been in the hallway, she'd hear me talking in my bedroom. So she knew that I was physically talking to something. I was in bed physically talking to what I saw as something, and it certainly wasn't in my mind, you know. I mean, I don't think I'd ever even seen a lumberjack in my entire life to know what they looked like. I was too young, you know. But when you describe what they were wearing, and what he, you know, the fact that he had an axe on his shoulder, I'd never even seen an axe. I was only like 2 or 3, you know. So to actually just put that into your mind, how can you sort of like say what somebody looks like and how they dress and what they look like, and remember that and what they were talking about when you've never even seen anything like that. So I was too young to do that, but I definitely remember it 100%. And
when did you find out it was a lumberjack, or when? Because you obviously no one else could see, and was it just some guy who just was it? Well,
he used to be the man in the wardrobe, so he was the man in the wardrobe. And when he got to about 5 or 6 years of age, and I started to see the odd TV program with a lumberjack in, I remembered it as that was what I saw in the wardrobe.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not taken away from anybody's experiences, right? But you said nothing else happened after a little bit of deja vu, but maybe now is the time to reconnect, right? If that was a reality external to your reality, well, maybe it's a clue for us. And as I say, for me,
I've done astral projection.
No forest on flat Earth, right? The forests where the trees were cut down, Ranty.
I've also done astral projection as well when I was younger. That stopped when I was.
Oh man, Ranty, yeah. Can you share a little bit about that if you're open to?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that stopped when I was about 12. So I was able, you know, it happened involuntarily up until being about the age of, I would say, 6. And then from the age of like 6 till 12 or so, I could do it. I could literally just lie in my bed and make myself lift out of my body and fly through the window,
And you saw a flat Earth, and then you became a flat Earth.
I wish. I actually, believe it or not, don't think I've ever told anybody this, but I actually went through a tunnel.
Okay.
So I actually left my body, went through a white tunnel with all kinds of colours around the sides of it, and at the very end there was a very bright light. So I got to the end of it, popped out of the bright white tunnel, and I was floating on the clouds. And then in the distance, they had this white building with an archway. So I walked up to this white building with an archway, giant thing. It was probably about 100 feet tall, I'd say. Anyway, look to the left. There's all these people lying on the floor, sort of like with like white sheets over them that were alive, but it looked like they were recuperating. And I looked to the right, and that was the same too. And it was only a few weeks after my uncle Clifton had died, and my mum had specifically asked me, you know, she says, if you ever get the opportunity to go when you're doing your astral projection to see any of this, I want you asking these questions. So I walked down this path the right hand side, and I saw my Uncle Clifton. He was lying on the floor too, and he had he was actually just in. It was like a recovery room for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why it would be a recovery room. You'd think if you went to somewhere in an afterlife, you'd just be automatically healed, but it didn't seem to be that way.
Right.
Anyway, so I asked him these 3 questions that my mum wanted me to ask him. Can't remember what they were now. And as soon as I asked him the 3 questions and I got the 3 answers, it felt like somebody had grabbed my ankles and I was pulled through the clouds so fast. And then I had this incredible noise in my ears that was like deafening me. I was being pulled down so fast. My stomach was up to my mouth, like being on a massive roller coaster. And I was being pulled down so quickly. And then I hit the bed and I woke up immediately. And I wasn't on the bed. I was halfway up about 4 foot off the bed. And then I landed back down on the bed again afterwards. Landed back down again. So, hang on. Let's see if I can add them to
That's mad, Ranty. You said nothing else has happened to you outside of deja vu, so that's definitely something up to 12.
Oh, right, okay. So, all right, maybe.
It's pretty mad, and especially when your mum can sort of prepare you with questions to go into, this setting and get some. And you did get answers, right? From your uncle.
I did, yeah. I think Brandon.
That's mad. And can I ask you? Do you remember everything about your childhood? There's a possibility that you could have been MK Ultra or something. You could. Have you thought about that? Arwen has certainly thought about that, right?
Hang on just a minute. I tried to get called by somebody then. Just a second.
So yeah, I'll just continue talking if you want to deal with that, Ranty. Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
let's see. Hang on. I think it might have been. No, yeah. Sorry, did you say MK Ultra? Why would you say I'd be MK Ultra? What the hell?
Yeah. Well, that's a phenomenal ability to have, right? And there's sort of a strain. I'm just saying to normal people, I don't deny anything at this stage, right? My mind is really open to pretty much everything. But I'm saying that they're out of the normal sort of for everyday experiences for people. You know what I mean? And that's pretty vivid. And especially if it went on up until 12 years of age. Now, I'm just saying. I'm not probing or suggesting. I'm just saying, I mean, is there periods of your childhood that you can't remember, or have you ever suspected anything like that yourself? It's not as if it doesn't go on, right?
No,
it's not as if you it definitely does go on, and there's definitely motivations to do it as well, because the power of the mind and just the power of the human form is so explosive in some ways.
But why would you attribute something that's evil to something that's fairly benign, like to that experience? Like, why slap MK?
Well, MK Ultra wouldn't necessarily be evil, right? It wouldn't be necessarily evil. You talk about all manner of remote viewers, people who are trained in these things, and of course, with all of the hidden information and knowledge gathered, who knows what abilities people have? I mean, so if you ever heard of Greg Hallett, I take it he's an actor at this stage, but there's certainly technologies there, at least we can imagine them, that he talks about are definitely real and have been long since in operation. For instance, you might have never played the piano before, mind of God, but you can sit in a room and they just connect some sort of, connectors to your brain, and in 3 hours you can play a grand piano like you were born with the ability, right? So, I mean, I'm just saying it needn't always be negative, but I'm just asking. It's a pretty straight. Have you any similar experiences with lumberjacks or the like, or astral traveling, mind of God?
No, I haven't, and I think it's not good for a personality like mine, because I would be overwhelmed. I would dwell on it way too much. So maybe I have, but I don't
Ranty.
remember.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Hey, question for you. What did you say? You said you fell on the bed or something? What was that? I caught in partway of the conversation.
Yeah, so I was being pulled so fast downwards back into my body. I was being pulled. It felt like I was being pulled so quickly. I had this terrible noise in my ears that the wind was going past my ears so quickly, and my stomach felt like it was up in my mouth. I was literally being dragged down, and I hit the bed. And as I hit the bed, I remember I felt my body like press on the mattress. And as I woke up, I felt myself halfway up in the air, like about 4 feet off the bed. And I woke up, and then I remember falling back down again and banged down back on the mattress. So it was.
Do you know what the hag is? Have you heard of the phenomenon the hag?
No.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So when I was younger, I had no idea what astral projecting was until my later years. And I remember being very susceptible to it when I was younger. And so what happened was my first introduction was very reminiscent of what you just stated. The difference is I didn't leave my body. It was more of I can hear like crazy sounds, but I felt I was floating. And what happened is that I was trying to fight it. And what happened? So what happened to me, in the sense, the bed, is that I was in that state of half awake, half asleep, but I could feel my face and my body floating, but my face was attached to my bed, and I felt my body going in a 360-degree circle, and so I could feel the rotation on my side of my cheek, and I kept fighting it, and then when I fought it, it felt like my body had slammed down on my bed, my bed was shaking when I woke up. So it reminded me of that experience. And then I think a week later, this individual called the hag, they say, visited me. Basically, it's a sleep paralysis state that we talk about. That's, everybody who's experienced sleep paralysis is on their way to astral projecting, supposedly. So I had the hag come in, and I had this troll being, whatever it was, not a troll, but like a weird cherub type demonic creature. It wasn't a cherub, but it was in that size. Come and lay on my chest. I've had it 3 times throughout my life, and there's only a few people that and you, Ranty, you just jarred I was like, wow, you've had kind of like a similar astral projecting. I didn't go to the point where I could leave, but I'd always fight it. I could always hear the crazy sounds. I would hear these high-pitched noises in that sleep paralysis state, but I would never allow myself. After the hag came and visited me a couple of times, I'd never allowed my body my state to leave my being.
Wow.
So I found it quite interesting.
When was that, FED? How old were you? Sorry.
I was 17. My first experience, I think, was my mom was studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Mm-hmm. And my mom, because here's the thing, what really freaked my mom and me out, as I never told my mom until years later what had happened to me. And she said, there was something with our relatives that night was a memorable night. We both had incidences that happened at the same night, supposedly, which she had the hag visit her. And that's when I didn't have any visit. My first experience was my face rotating, my body levitating. That night, my mom had the hag visit her. I had that experience. And then sometime after that, I had the hag visit me my first time. And then I had it. It was the second time, or the first time was without the creature. The second time was with the creature. And the third time I fought it. I could feel it coming. And I kept fighting it away. And all it is that state of paralysis where your subconscious mind is active, but your body's sleeping, right? So I definitely know that your mind can play tricks on you. There's definitely chemical hormones like the derivatives of DMT in your mind. Maybe some to that pituitary excretion. Who knows in the dream state what you're trying to break down, or what you even what you can see with your own eyes, based on I even thought to be like, if you're in that half awake, half asleep state, are you able to see certain things? Because I sure as hell saw a being, and I sure as hell saw a little weird cherub troll type. Like, I don't know how to describe it, man, but it was like a child-sized demonic skinny thing, walking, and then coming on top of my chest.
Wow.
Oh no, that's Sean Hawkins. That's Sean Hawkins, or who? What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
Shout out to Sean Hawkins.
I've had these experiences unrelated to religion. I don't like horror movies. I'm not a fan of them. I don't watch them. I'm not a fan of that demonic side of life, or that kind of perception of life. So it's quite interesting, Ranty. So you've ever had the hag visit you? It sounds like you've had way more pleasant experience than I have.
Oh no, I've had some poor experiences, believe you me. I mean, because it was involuntary up until being about the age of 6, so I had no control over it whatsoever. So I'd say always, probably 7 times out of 10, it would end up with me being in this. How would you say? Would you even describe it? It was like a mountain on one side and a mountain on another, and in between it was this fire. It was just fire all the way through it, and I'd have to fly from one side of the mountain to the other carrying an egg, believe it or not. Don't ask me why. It was like a giant egg, like a tortoise, like a or whatever, a big egg anyway. Anyway, so I'd have to fly through the flames, take it over to the other side of the other mountain, drop it on there, fly back through again, and repeat the process. And that was literally 7 out of 10 times was the same reoccurring thing over and over and over, which I had to keep performing.
What about in your
Ranty,
later
you
life
don't
in
struggle-
years? Like your later years.
Oh,
Have you?
When I got to about the age of 12, I could no longer do it. I would lie in bed trying to do it, and I would get to the point of getting ready to leave the body, and something would hold me back. It would be like I couldn't get that final process, couldn't get the vinegar stroke sort of thing. You know, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't leave the body.
It never struck you as like an odd, dark feeling? It never struck you as like malevolent in a way?
No.
Yeah, see, I right away once I understood what it was, a buddy introduced me to astral projecting, which is like you extend from your stomach and attach to an umbilical cord, and you can go to a certain distance away, but you'll always be attached to your body via your umbilical cord, right? Your astral projected one, let's say. I didn't know naturally that human beings experience this phenomenon, sleep paralysis anyway. To begin with, as you grow up, nobody tells you, hey, by the way, some point in your life, you're going to have this sleep paralysis. You're going to have this thing visit you. And a handful of people have experienced it. It's a phenomenon. Nobody tells you this stuff. So once she introduced me...
Well, I just thought it was normal. I didn't realise there was anything unnormal about it until I got older. You know, it was just part of me growing up. Part of my experiences, and because my mum, she could do it, you know, she could even do it into her adult life, you know, she could still do her astral projection. So when I was talking to her about it, it just seemed natural, because she would be able to say, oh yeah, you know, where did you go, what did you do, blah 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 blah, you know, so it sounded all very normal. You know, there was never any red flags being waved in front of me like, you shouldn't speak about this, or, you know, that there's something weird going on here, you know, because in my family it just seemed that was a normal thing that you could talk about, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting that it would be inherited or passed down to a certain degree where it is perceived normal. See, nobody in my family had those. Nobody had that, so we never had that discussion. It was only until I think my mom started pursuing religion that she became aware of a spiritual world per se, and that's the only time that we ever started looking at that stuff. From her side. For me, it was friends introducing me into the astral projection world. It's like, oh, I've already done that. I know what that's like. That's not a good feeling, because I went through it. That was my personal experience, and other people rave about it, right? So it's interesting to know, you know, or to understand, like, from family, from community. You'd grow up thinking nothing. I'd grow up not even knowing, experiencing it, and then later finding out, and then making making a decision based on the community I was introduced it to. I wasn't introduced to it by a Christian. I wasn't introduced to it by somebody who loved God or thought God was real. I was introduced to somebody who was into paganism and rituals and who actually didn't like God. So that's who introduced me into astral projection. So, and I wasn't into God then, right? I wasn't into that. I was like, oh, cool, I'm an artist. I'm gonna check it out. Oh no, I know that. No, not for me. It's too much. I can't watch horror movies. So maybe you can, right? Maybe you like that element of suspense and mystery or whatever. But for me, yeah, when I see that kind of stuff, it's like, wow. But it's good to know that you kind of had the same experience. You know, you're in your bed's shaking, it's all fucked up. You don't know what's going on. So yeah, I related.
Yeah, it was.
It would be interesting to interpret that. When you were flying, was it like, did you have wings and you were just continuously carrying an egg, an ostrich-sized egg or something, between two mountains over a flame?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to get a sort of an interpretation for that, Ranty. I mean, in conjunction with the lumberjack. But what I'm saying is,
hang on, no, wait a minute. Well, hold on.
What,
the lumberjack was totally different. The lumberjack was not anything to do with astral projection. So, you know, that was a totally different thing. And I think it was just because I was younger, and I think when you're younger, you don't have any of the inhibitions of your mind, and you're not sort of like controlled. And like I say, in my family, it was just natural to talk about that. So we were never said, "Oh, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't do anything like that." You don't talk. So when somebody says that to a child, I think it kind of shuts them down from from accessing that part of them. So maybe that was why I was able to do it for such a longer time. And I think only things changed when I went to high school. Because when I was at high school at like 11 and 12, my best friend, he went to Scotland when I was 12. So a lot of things changed for me. So I didn't have that friend at high school anymore, and I was, I didn't have anybody to talk to about that from then on. So everything seemed to change for me about then, and that's when I sort of lost that ability to do it. But I still get the feeling. I still get the feeling now and then, probably 4 times or 5 times a year, that my body wants me to do it, but I still can't get that connection to just leave and do it.
Right. This is my point. Let me just say this. This is sort of my point of saying this, that now in these times, with these energies around, maybe it's the right time, to sort of reconnect. I obviously coming up to 12, then we're coming up to puberty and massive changes taking place internally. So maybe that put a stem to any sort of advancement in that. But if you're brought up with a mother or father who sort of dabble in these realms anyway, you're going to have a different upbringing to the normal person out there. But yeah, I was just going to encourage you. I mean, with how you have time in your hands, right? Maybe all of these latent abilities are just waiting to be revived again. And maybe connections made. As I said about the lumberjack, very significant for me. Absolutely very, very significant. Any flat earther who hasn't seen no forest on flat earth, well, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? But anyway, that was my overall point, Ranty.
But wait, Ranty, I got a question.
So, yeah,
I got a question about all that. Like, did you guys, both of you, have had those experiences, link that to God in any way, or was it just experiences that you were just kind of going through and didn't necessarily give you a stronger or weaker faith in God?
Hold on. Can you just pop yourself on mute there, Aaron, just for a sec?
Yeah, of course. Sorry.
Yeah, cheers. In response to that, no. I mean, it didn't. I mean, when I was growing up, I had a very religious upbringing. So as well as, so I probably read the Bible back to front probably 5 times, I would say, I mean, there was Bible readings every day. So it was, it was quite but it wasn't with my mum, it was my grandfather. So, and I was very close to him, and, so I would spend probably an hour a day, going through the Bible and stuff. And I had a very heavy upbringing until I was about 17. So, did it make me? No, not at all. I mean, I've always thought there has to be a creator. Of course.
Okay.
You
knew that kind of implicitly without these experiences. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why you're more righteous.
So what do you?
I didn't know you read it that many times. So
that's
wonderful.
So what do you think? What do you think you guys are going to do? Like channel stuff? Because for me, I didn't enjoy the experience at all. I mean, I had the hag visit me, so it sounds like you guys haven't had the hag visit you. which
Can
maybe
you explain what that is? FED? Can you explain the hag?
That's my ex-partner.
Go Google it. Go Google it. It's a natural phenomenon that we all experience.
Okay.
And he just explained it as well, mind the God. Were you listening?
Well, somebody in the chat was asking, and I don't know if I really could summarize it myself, actually.
So it's just a natural phenomenon that people experience during sleep paralysis. It's an apparition they see of a being with beady eyes, sometimes followed by another creature that sits beside it. The stories is that this person stands in the hallway and stares at you while this little creature comes and sits on your chest. Some people experience many of them pushing down on them. A whole bunch of people standing around them. There's many different experiences. Mine were seeing the being in the hall or in the doorway staring at me with the little creature moving around me. So that's primarily my experience of sleep paralysis, and it's usually followed in the beginning of high pitched frequency sounds, like squealing almost. And I'm like creepy as hell. And if you keep going like I worked with a hypnotist on the road, and I did this tour thing with him, and I got to see hypnotism in action. You would literally have to hypnotize yourself to go into that state, which you can. People disciplined and focused can easily hypnotize themselves.
Right.
At least that's the understanding of hypnotism. But yeah, I didn't enjoy it. So I don't think there's anything to benefit from it personally. But Pete may have an entirely different experience. He might not attach it to a demonic presence or a malevolent force. He might see it as more angelic, more a connection for his mindset where he's at. For me,
well, I've had an experience for obviously paralysis. I reckon it's like you're in the unconscious state and you're torn out of it too quickly, whether it be a sound that you were not expecting. So you're sort of caught between worlds. I think you mentioned this earlier on as well. But we all know how vivid dreams can be. And when you're sort of torn between the both realities, you can feel the body's function struggling. So you sort of manifest that struggle in terms of this demonic. You almost pull it from a dreamlike state. The exemplification of this horror you're feeling that you have no control over your body. You know what I mean? That's the way I do look upon it in general. But I wasn't speaking about any of that sort of stuff to Ranty really. What I would say in general is that, look, I think if you want a sign out there that there's a greater significance, just ask for a sign. I think you can sort of control many things yourself in regards to your own being. And when you invite, I guess maybe changes openness in you to come to some greater realizations. It doesn't always have to. You're not opening the door that's leaving in all these demonic states. I think you're always in complete control as long as you know what you're doing. But I'm speaking more so, especially about these times where there is external energies in the air. There's very positive energies around. I can definitely feel it, right? And Ranty was talking about the exceptional weather we're having, but it's going across the board. The air is crystal. The water here is crystal as well. There's a different vibe in the air. So I'm just saying, in terms of reconnection, getting in touch with something that you've long since left behind as an individual, I'd say now is the time, right? Now is the time.
Yeah, listen, we are joined by a couple of people, new guests, by the way. So we're joined by Aaron Armstrong, the Globe Earther, and we're also joined by the Marlena Effect. Nice to have you both in.
Thank you.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're coming through fine. Now, Marlena, I know you wanted to join it. Did you say you was a pilot in the chat?
Yes, I've actually talked to a few of you before. I used to come on quite a bit a few years ago, but yeah, I am. And I've also astraled, so I get that as well. Yeah.
Well, do you want to tell us about that?
So has anyone...
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, would you like to tell us about this astral projection of your own? I'd be interested to hear yours.
Okay, my culture, I come from a tribe called the Micmac tribe, and it's something that is natural for people to do. But the first time I've experienced my own, I was little, and I lucid dream a lot. I don't know if you guys lucid dream, but if you don't, I'd recommend it, because I find now it's a lot different. Like almost every time I dream, I can lucid dream. I don't know if it's because of the environment now, but that's how I learned how to astral. Was I was in a lucid dream, and when I woke up, I was the same way. I was hovering above myself, and then I just looked around, and then it was getting easier and easier to do it.
Oh, I have the most incredible dreams every night. Every night I go to sleep, when I wake up the next day, I kid you not, I've had at least 3 or 4 very vivid dreams that seem to have been like a story. So I can be part of this story, and it's like I'm watching a movie or being part of a movie. And I'll go from the start of the movie to the end of the movie. I'll have the beginning, middle, and the end, and then I'll move on to the next dream, and the next dream, and the next dream. And when I wake up, I can remember them for about 10 minutes or so. And sometimes I'll say to my partner, if she's awake, I'll tell her about them. And if I wrote these down, I'm telling you, they would be like bestsellers. I would never have thought in my imagination that I could make things up like this. So how I actually get these dreams coming to me at night, these fantastic dreams, they are fantastic dreams that I could write short stories about. I'm telling you, and it's every night. I dream very vividly every single night.
Any comment?
I think it's very important to write them down.
Can I just, I'll just jump in and tell you my story about my astral traveling. So much like you, Ranty, I would astral travel as a child regularly, and I didn't know that it was abnormal. I had a pretty traumatic childhood, and I used to either leave my body and watch myself sleep as a way of, I think, of protecting myself, or I would also walk around the house and find out where my parents were and see what they were doing, whether they were fighting or that kind of stuff. And I did it for a long, many years, and then I forgot about it. And it wasn't until I was about 30 or late 20s, I was working in Saudi Arabia as a nurse, and I was living alone in an apartment, and I just worked and slept, really. So I had a lot of opportunity to practice it and do it again as an adult. And it's a lot harder because of, or what I read, it's so much harder because you kind of, you don't have that childhood naivety or anything, and you think it's a bit weird, and so it's much harder to leave your body. And the times that I was successful, on 2 occasions as an adult, I actually decided to stop and give up, and thought, I'll just get up and get a glass of water. And at that point, I realized that I was actually astral traveling. So yeah, it's certainly something that was a big part of my childhood, and something that I really enjoyed and missed. I miss not being able to do it. It was great.
Wait, so Aaron, you believe in God, but you're a ball earther? Does it affect your beliefs on God or Creator?
Do I believe in God?
Yeah, like generic God or any specific God?
I had a really religious upbringing. With I don't know what you call them in America, but Pentecostal evangel, Pentecostal Christian.
Right.
But
yeah.
it was more like a cult. It was a very small church, and so my upbringing when it comes to God, it was all a bit messed up. I mean, the church, they were just doing their best. They didn't know that they were actually harming people or anything. But it messed me up quite considerably. Do I believe in God? I believe in something, but I would never be so brave to put a name on it. But I believe in a kind of a. I think it's nice to have a kind of spiritual part to us. My father died about 3 weeks ago, and he was do you have Salvation Army in America?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, he was a very strong Salvation Army proponent, and his death was pretty horrible. He wasted away. He was a smoker. He died of emphysema. So, the last 3 or 4 years of his life were pretty bad. He was bedbound and, needing oxygen all the time to function. Wow. So he actually, it was nice to see, even though his death was horrible, he knew that he was going somewhere. And I think he was happy to be dying, because he kind of had that belief that he was going to go to a better place. So that got me thinking about God a bit. But I don't think any kind of organized religion is for me. I don't see any reason why I can't. Why, if I did believe in God, that I could still believe in a ball Earth.
No, fair enough. But you don't believe that this is like a result of statistics or that kind of thing. You're open to something non-statistical, non-physical making the Earth.
Making the Earth?
Yeah, like who is responsible for creating the Earth?
I don't believe in creation or anything like that. No, I don't believe in God creating the world. No, I believe that some some people more than others. Maybe it's a genetic thing, but some people need to have a faith in a God. They need a God in their life, and other people don't. They don't have that drive.
Do you realize there's only two choices anyway? Do you realize that? There's only two choices. You either come from creation or you're just a random, insignificant thing. You really have two choices to gamble with here. You understand that, right?
Well, you're just telling me it. Yeah, sure. That, if you say there's two choices, I haven't put too much thought.
Is there more than two?
Yeah, list a third, I guess, is what he's saying. We're not trying to convert you. We're just trying to use logic, like get the playing field. If you think that there's a third, it'd be interesting to hear. But either the Earth was created non-physically, non-statistically, or it was one of those.
So you believe in creation and God creating the world?
Well, I struggle.
I believe in asking
statistical chance.
I believe in asking you the question: if there's two choices, what is your third?
No, I didn't say there was a third. I said I hadn't put much thought into it, and I'd need to go away and think about it more. It's a pretty big question. You either believe in a God or not.
So the mind. Can I just interrupt for a second here? Is it the mind of God?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, man. So Job, and not to take it to scripture, but we're on the subject. I'm a little annoyed because a lot of people think that the flat Earth is not listed in the Bible. It is directly listed in Job chapter 38, verse 14, where it says, "The earth takes shape like a pressed seal."
Right.
It's a literal description of its shape.
Correct.
So I don't have, much time for bullshit, but if you're looking for a literal biblical description of the earth's shape, it's Job chapter 38, verse 14.
It's everywhere. It's in Daniel. It's in Joshua. It's in Genesis. It's even implied in Revelation.
It says shape.
Literally everywhere.
It says shape, though.
Right.
It actually says shape. So instead of drawing a horizon line, or instead of inscribed a circle, or it's breathed, the literal definition of the description of the look of Earth is shaped like a pressed seal. That's the Job 38, verse 14.
Aaron, we're not trying to twist your arm into the God of the Bible, but just it's either statistical or, it pretty much has to be like an output of statistical chance if there's not an intelligent creator behind it. And I just think that there's really no logical, it's not mathematically logical to believe that this whole thing is an output of statistical chance. Statistics would not even support that at all. Too many variables, and these out-of-body experiences make it even worse. if it's even needed to be made worse, you just need one legitimate out-of-body experiences that cannot be mathematically modeled, and then it's over.
Speaking of,
how is sorry?
No. I mean, no. Carry on, guys. I was interrupting. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I called. I called purely just to talk about the astral projection. Are you saying that people astral project? Are you saying God's a part of that?
Well, no. It just means that there's an element that cannot be understood with math, science, physics, statistics, etc. Like you can't model that mathematically, right? And then explain it, and then have a sort of physical explanation for it.
Spirituality.
Yeah, that would be another dimension. So that dimension could not be modeled, or I don't know if people would even try, because most people would be atheists who would follow that physicality. How would you model that mathematically?
I don't know.
You couldn't.
It's all getting a bit too heavy for me, man. So anyway, I just thought I'd tell you about my astral projection story. Did it as a kid, did it regularly, loved it. And I think I did it as a form of protection. I watched over myself because I wasn't safe a lot of the time. And
my sympathies to your family, dude. My sympathies to your family, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
About
Yeah,
my
same
dad?
here. Sorry to hear about
Yeah, I
that.
think it was a blessing. I think for him, sometimes death is not as horrible as it's made out to be, and it was a nice release for him to get he doesn't have to suffer anymore. So anyway, yeah, I miss him. I miss him a lot.
Can I ask
Well,
another
okay.
question, if you don't mind?
Sure.
It's maybe personal to you. I don't know, but what is off-putting about God to you?
I don't think he wants to go
Look,
down
I
further
don't-
that road.
No.
No,
I'm happy to try and answer it. I'm happy
curious.
to try and answer it for you. It's not that God. I'm saying my childhood belonging to that church was pretty messed up, and it left me pretty scarred with a whole bunch of things. Not that people set out. The church was only just tiny, and they didn't set out to hurt anybody. They just didn't know any better, and there was no leniency, and they believed in the Bible from the there was no parables or anything. They believed Jonah and the whale, which you guys might as well. But they believed every word of the Bible, and then there was this kind of schism where the church split, and it caused a lot of harm. It harmed a lot of people. A lot of people got hurt. So that left a really bad taste in my mouth when it comes to that religion or that type of church frame setting up like that, to have people really so siloed. So we weren't allowed to mix with people of the world, not allowed to talk to anyone who wasn't a Christian, and it was very much, it wasn't a cult, but it was very much, it would have fit the definition for a cult. We weren't allowed to mix with anyone who wasn't in the church or a Christian. So for a 10, 12-year-old kid, that's pretty tough when you're not allowed to have any friends or anything, and the whole church is only like 30 people big. It wasn't very good. That's why that's left a bad taste in my mouth. As far as God's concerned, totally different story. I think I have a personality that is always searching and always looking and always interested, and I am too gutless to make a decision on something or make a choice on something in case I've got it wrong. I don't have enough faith. I don't have any faith in what I decide. So you say, okay, well, we're going to believe in this God and we're going to follow these set of rules, and if I do that, I'll be going to heaven. Well, I would, a week later, I'd think, oh, what if I've got it wrong? So
Can I tell you?
I
Can
To be
appreciate that.
consistent, you're a flat earther then, right? Because there's no evidence for a spinning ball.
I just want to address that level of just care to not press something that you don't know for sure to be true. I just hope when you come on these panels, I'm not trying to say you're rude in this interaction, but you got to appreciate what this debate is about, God or not God and all that. So it worries me when I hear people who are staunch ball earthers. They're cautious about their religious beliefs and going too extreme with those, but very adamant that the earth is a ball, and so that's the part where just be sensitive to people like us. We get offended, when you push one set of views very heavily on us, but on another set, you're very cautious, and I would think that that's wise to not go beyond, the boundaries of what you believe, which is good. But why are you so certain that the earth is the ball? And then you come on these panels and push it onto us.
Look, I am a very poor debater. I'm not a very articulate person. I'm interested in this because I'm interested in why you think things that you do, and why Ranty thinks things, and why Pete does things. I'm interested in personalities and people. I'm not trying to change your mind about the shape of the earth. I come on because sometimes it's really boring, and it's good. It's just a bit of fun. It's not trolling because I'm not. But like you guys, is this Mind of God or Light the Handle? So you're an incredibly articulate and intelligent person. I can recognize that. And so when you come up against me or I come up against you on a debate, you're going to win every time because you're a really bright man. And I'm just,
But see, the whole point is we're not trying.
I don't have an argument.
All I'm trying to say is
Mind of God is a pussy.
The attitude that he has about religion.
I'm down.
If you had that same attitude about ball earth and flat earth, we would have a much better dialogue, and you're not sure, you're going to look for something conclusive before you make a final decision. It's not about winning and losing. That's the whole thing, because you're right. Over a hangout, we cannot come up with a proof verbally, right? A proof is like an actual test that would need to be done in real life, and it looks like the entire world really has no appetite for that. And so it is a dialogue. I hope that you appreciate that. There's a lot of evidence that points to a flat stationary Earth. Ranty's whole channel, just looking outside, the Bible, if you accept what FED just said, so just, I'm not saying you were rude on our last hangout, but the other ballers, like, we know something else is going on. They're pushing atheism onto us. And we know it now. Again, this is not a shot
I haven't
to you.
noticed.
Not with you. Other people,
No.
Blue Marble Science, Rumpus, George Natchik. These people are absolute flamboyant atheists. Like, proud of it. Super proud.
I haven't noticed, and I listen to a lot of Flat Earth Debate. I haven't noticed anyone pushing atheism on anyone. I think a lot of those guys are actual Christians, aren't they? Like
No.
Blue Marble Science is. I think Bob the Science guy is
No,
Christian.
if they were Christians, they wouldn't be pushing the Big Bang, would they?
Come on.
No, Ranty,
I'm actually giving you a compliment. I'm giving you a compliment saying that you're more balanced. I'm not trying to take the frustrations on other people on you, but I want you to know, when you step in these hangouts, a lot of us, especially people who I would say at this point know God exists, literally no, absolute no, Ranty others. We're measuring other things, the person's vibe, why you're here, what theology, who's your employer and stuff like that. We're looking at all those kind of things, and it's obvious to us. Atheism is being pushed onto the masses as if it's obvious.
Can you be a Christian and believe in the Big Bang? You say no.
Yeah, as long as that's guided and orchestrated by the entity, obviously, in the Bible. He didn't just let that happen while he was sleeping, kind of thing. So how he created that's a mystery. No one was there, that we would be able to tell. Is the sixth thing literal? I highly doubt it. There's no days when he's making the sun and the moon, right? It's not like 24-hour day. So it's just a way for us to understand causality. And Ball Earth and atheism is non-causal, so it's not scientific. So.
Yeah. Anyway, look, that's all I wanted to talk about. But thank you for the nice chat. I wanted to also say that I also dream very vividly as well. But a lot of the time I have really bad dreams, really bad dreams. And Randy was saying earlier that he can't imagine how he his dreams are so good. He doesn't know how he actually dreams up these stories. You couldn't do it in real life, but you can do it when you're sleeping. And I think the same is for me. That some of the nightmares I have, if I tried to make them up during my waking life, I would never be able to come up with some of the bad things that I can dream. So the brain is a pretty amazing thing that you can't tame it. Once you're asleep, it can do whatever it wants. And
Eric, can I give you one last point just to think about dreams? If we think that God is able to create things, and allow a certain amount of free will expression, I believe one aspect of our dreams is that our ability to create things, have an expression of what we've gone through, or allow characters to exist and have read from a script, and they're free. We didn't make the script up before we went to bed. They're just expressing a movie. And so I think that, again, this is not exhaustive, but that's an element of what we're living in, is actually God's kind of expression. But anyway, I didn't want to put you on the spot, but thanks for talking.
No, it's good, man. Okay. Have a nice day, everyone. See ya.
Mind of God, you must be delighted, Mind of God, at what's happening at the minute, considering that you expressed this openly, you were so desperate about the situation, even a year ago or 6 months ago, that it all seemed so hopeless, and should it continue, how can the individual continue to survive? But how do you feel about these transformative changes now? Are you noticing a big difference to your own life? And are you as positive as maybe I am?
I just think people are starting to realize that maybe our next day is not guaranteed, maybe our next paycheck, maybe the next meal. And it's not pleasant to see that, or to know that people are going through that, but it makes people ask questions. I think even ballers are going to start asking themselves, what am I really pushing? What is this? Do I really believe this? And is someone going to reward me for all these infinite hours of hangouts fighting flat earthers and hopefully they start waking up to the reality that the government doesn't love us. I hope people get that. Whether you're a flat earther or a ball earther, come on. The government does not love us.
I just want to bring the Marlena effect in. You joined. Did you join because you wanted to sort of like rise to the challenge about what Wolfie's been saying, or did you want to just put some points across as being a pilot? Why you know, some of your observations and stuff?
Well, I just find it all interesting anyway, right? I was always a flat earther all my life, so I don't have that mentality of spinning around a globe, right? You know, in our culture, we're taught that we live on Utsigamu, which it means the flat earth, and then the Witki is the stuff above it. You know, we're also taught that it goes on, not infinite, but the creator doesn't stop. People are very small-minded if they think the creator only did this and that's it. You know what I mean? So for us, the creator kept going. As a pilot, though, I've never experienced a curve. I never had to account for any type of curve when I'm flying, you know, landing, anything, which I should. But no, I just wanted to. You started talking astral, and I thought I'd be, you know, be nice to talk about. Because, you know, I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of being on, and this is why I stepped away for about a year or so, is because what's the point of fighting something when somebody ain't going to look at the real evidence? They're not going to take their own experience into account. They can be up in a plane and see absolutely nothing and then still fight about it. And I don't get that, you know. To me, it's pointless.
They have to be an organized force, Marlena, and I'm sure you could easily take on Wolfie and whatever he has to dish out. But as you say, what would be the purpose of it? And I would say even at this late stage, there's very little purpose to it. People even who are coming in, hearing about our flat Earth for the first time right now, I think there'll be other sort of outlets which will be talking much more about flat Earth, much more openly in the not too distant future. But do you see, Marlena, the quest is beyond flat Earth? It's coming to terms with our own selves and our own natures and true abilities. Is that more the direction you've gone in?
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's really important right now that people do realize that the abilities that we have, we were born with. Right. And at one point they were taken from us, you know, with Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and blah, blah, blah. As soon as they tell you when you're a child that's not true, you lose your ability in the sense you stop trusting your parents. You think they're not but liars. You know, you don't trust anybody anymore, and you shut down that imagination that you need.
Right.
Yes.
So I think it's really important right now. And there's a lot of people I know, both globe people and flat earthers, that are having very spiritual experiences right now that they've never had before. So I think there's something to that right now.
Excellent. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier on. And I encourage everybody to sort of tune in to these energies that are there. And I see it all as a script being played out, you know, and this is the time we've been waiting for, right? So we'll have to rise to the occasion. And look, listen to that guy, Aaron Armstrong. I mean, I find it, why would you come onto a panel like this where it's mostly, you know, just constant debate, never a concession, never anything to be gained, and expect, I don't know, to be treated a certain way? I don't get it really. But yeah, as I said myself, I'm sort of tiring of all of these formats. It's late in the game. That's all I'll say. Late in the game for him.
Ranty, it's almost like you should add in now in some shows this maybe some survival tips.
Yeah, that might be useful.
You know what I mean? No joke. Like, you know, when I going out and learning how to tell the time with 3 sticks.
And the curvature.
You make yourself a little talk. Yeah.
But it's pretty fun when you have to think back that far. There's 12-year-olds that are more educated than all 4 of us on this panel.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
No, it's amazingly embarrassing how educated our children were back in 250 BC, 350 BC. How educated our children were back then. Navigation. You know, they were using. They had to use this stuff, right? That's how they got around. So it was a part of survival, especially when you got on a ship. You needed to know this stuff. It was like even the main.
Medicine, right? I'm certain people in the past had incredible intuition about the human body because they were more clear about what exactly they were eating, and so they could understand, you know, the result. of doing this leads to that. Now we have all these freaking pills, and who knows what variables they're adding to the whole health imbalance. But sorry.
Well, you know it's a fraud when they don't recommend vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, and zinc during flu season.
The basics,
right? Yeah.
Well, to be more optimistic, anyone who has children here, I think you'll probably agree with me that your child at your age is far and away more advanced. I will certainly say that for my child and pretty much all of his friends. There is great hope as well. And, well, look, I would say as well, history, let's not take it quite for granted, that the official story is correct. I think there's a different story in play from the very outset, and we're returning to a time and to an ability that we once maybe had and lost for whatever reason,
Let's be real. With all this technology around, Pete, as soon as there's an EMP attack, people have no skills now. There's nothing. You'll know this is real when 3 months of no contact, and you'll see the tents pop up, and you'll find out everybody's going towards these tents to get their cell phone hooked up. So that's gonna happen in 2025 most likely, and then another 2029 agenda to usher in 2030, which is the agenda 2030 they have. It's all on every government website. It's on Canada's government website, United States government website. It's all there. They're telling you exactly what's going to happen. This is a test run. There's a bioweapon out there for sure. It's not contagion through spitting on or coughing on. It's only blood or poop, or some kind of you need some sort of fluid exchange where blood's involved. So that's how a virus is contagious, right? So this whole pandemic thing is all a plandemic, an exercise for artificial intelligence, and for all the people to see involved, where the nooks and crannies, the problems are, the cracks, right? 2021 is going to be a new enemy. It's going to be the arms race, okay? It's going to be the arms race the next after this one.
So where does Flat Earth come into this?
Nothing. They're going to drown it. They're going to like they did. Okay, so check this out. There's an Andrea Barnes documentary. It's a mockumentary. It was supposedly filmed in just before World War I. Okay, and this woman went around debunking all the reifications of the globe, and they did this documentary. Now it's a mockumentary. In other words, it was filmed as a 1981 project or 1991 project for a school as a thought control experiment for critical thinking. Right, and they used this girl from 1911, I think. Was it World War I or World War II? I think it's World War I. And she was going around debunking how there's no Coriolis, doing all this stuff. And there's all this archive footage of it. Now, they're just a nice voiceover, but this archival black and white footage of this woman. And then it says that when the war happened, it got drowned out. Flat Earth no longer was a discussion, because now it was like fight the enemy. Everybody got together. And it was the argument was gone. So we know, our research says, that they were always talking about Flat Earth. In fact, David Weiss video, deep in the rabbit hole.
Dirt,
yeah. He interviewed that old lady that remembers them teaching Flat Earth in school. So, and if you look at the books too, like I said, like I've said this before, probably on this show, they didn't put it into books until like the 1960s, 1950, late 1950s, early 60s. They started doing all the artist work on, here's the future world. We're going to Mars. We're going to Venus. We're going to Jupiter. These are all the planets. Paint pictures. That was the deal, right? So
where does the revival? I mean, where obviously
it gets drowned out. It gets drowned out by the media.
Not at this stage. There's too many flat earthers around.
War is next.
We know we're in a movie now. We're in a movie now.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to get at is, was Flat Earth handed to us on a plate to set every war needs cannon fodder on both sides?
Pete.
Create the cannon fodder.
It's for AI too. It's for AI. This is the biggest thing ever. This is the argument to all arguments. It's God created or Big Bang. It's the one or the two.
Sure.
That's it.
The great science versus religion, final battle, right? Science has become about belief now, and religion, as Mind of God alluded to earlier on, becomes about knowing. We know that there's a creator, right?
So is AI for the creator? Is there AI for the random floaty space? We'll find
Right.
out.
So are we just cannon fodder? Are we just pawns then in this greater game as flat earthers? Should we just stop thinking about flat Earth now because we're just
Not at
fueling-
all. Not at all, because you are right. We are growing because more people that are knowledgeable will be prepared for greater things, which if Ranty's true, but the food shortages, then this will help people wake up to that. It will wake up into the sense, well, maybe I need to ration more. Maybe I need to get more water. Maybe it did this. So those little changes are what flat Earth's about. On the grand scale, who fuck knows? On the microcosm with our community, the more people we get interested, look, and people go, you know what? I'm going to get some more canned food because of this conversation. Why? Well, I talked to this panel. I heard this thing on a flat Earth channel, and they were talking about that, and it makes sense. That's how we do our job. We make sense.
Well, Ranty's been wrong about the food shortages up to this point. Time will tell, as he says, what will happen after this.
Why
I
are
have
you
no
saying
such
he's
fears.
wrong, man? We've had shortages.
It's so
What's
early
wrong
though.
with
It's
you?
so early, Pete. It's so early.
Yeah.
So listen. There are places in some cities that they do have shortage in grocery stores, and there are places
They
there's
do.
lineups. The thing is it's not at a level of the urgency that you'd think.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
control. It's
like starting on the
controlled
weekends.
perfectly. It's controlled perfectly.
Exactly. So that's
It's-
staged, right?
Exactly, Pete. But that's what I mean. This is an.
You want to know
exercise.
how controlled it is in my community? We have a curfew 7 to 7, and we also are not allowed. There's no non-natives allowed in our community right now. That's how controlled it is. There's a big sign up on our highway saying, and if anybody wants to see it, I could send it to you. What our sign looks like. It's ridiculous. It says, "No non-members," and whatever, not allowed here. And it's pretty sad because it's segregation.
Jeez.
Pete keeps asking how this fits into flat Earth, and I'm gonna tell you,
And I'm Canadian, by the way.
when I got
Just
to
so you
flat
Oh,
Earth,
shout out to Canadians.
Well, I'm asking how Flat Earth fits into Flat Earth Data's outlook there, and how it might be manipulated, how it might have been set up from the start to create this. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I answered it quite concisely. I think I did.
Yeah, I was
Let
just
right the
correcting
hand
right
drive.
the hand.
Let
Yeah,
right the
I
hand
agree you
drive.
did.
well, I was just gonna say, like, I started growing my own food like 6-8 months ago. Like, I started before a food shortage. It just came as natural as, like, if
You're
they're
blessed
lying
then.
about everything, well,
You're
that's what
bland.
Flat Earth is like. They lied about the shape of the Earth. They control the supermarkets. They control Google. They control everything. So I'm like, how do I get that control back? I have to grow my own food. I have to take over my own skills. I have to be able to do what they were providing for me, and that's basically the only way out. If you can't do what they're doing for you, then you're going to be a slave to them forever. And whether you come to that conclusion through flat Earth or through religion or however you come to that conclusion, that's the end game.
Well, that's a circumstantial claim because I'm apartment style living. And so I don't have access to garden grows. I know there's community garden grows around, but you're super blessed if you have land to exercise that right. Where I'm positioned, land is alone $400,000 for a small square. It's sad, you know what I mean? So with this downturn in the economy, because we have to at least get to the 2050. I think the solar minimum is what this is all about, according to the plan. If you know the occult and what they want, the black hole sun. So it's a blessing. If you've got land and you can do this, good for you. But a lot of people are apartment style living and they're fucked. So it has to be controlled. It has to be dealt out. And they wanted to stretch it, 90 days? And then to 180 days? Like crazy, man.
It's like nonstop now.
We're joined by Tim Osmond, guys.
Can I just say, Flat Earth Data, you sound like Crow 777 to me.
No, he's not.
No, I'm not. No, I don't agree with that guy's. I don't agree with a lot of the content on his show. He's over. What do you call it? Sensationalism when it comes to UFOs, and no, I don't buy that.
I'd say hand's like a bigger church lady too, guys. So, yeah, definitely not him.
Okay. Just saying.
So you wanted to join, Tim?
Yeah, man, I've been listening for like 20 minutes. It's interesting that's what I always did, is kind of step back and look at the psychological and sociological aspects of flat Earth and conspiracy.
Is Corona a hoax, Tim?
No. I mean, partially it's a hysteria hoax, in my opinion, but I'm 99% sure me and my family and friends already got it in January. So.
Okay, it's definitely a hoax, everybody listening.
Perfect.
No, I mean, it was like a different cold. It lasted for 2 weeks. My nephew had to go in and get on oxygen for 2 days. And they were going to do a test. They could have done like different viral pneumonias, but there's like a ton of those. So they just opted to give him oxygen and wait it out, basically.
We were taking bets which baller would get it first. We thought it would be George Natchuk, but Tim, man, credit to you, buddy. You took the hit.
Yeah.
Kosho's girlfriend. Kosho's girlfriend has it.
Jeez, come on. Tim, be normal for 10 minutes.
Well, I can't expect anything else from you but to be your normal self.
Who's
as
your
you
employer?
are a
Who do you
troll.
work for?
You're a troll.
Who do you work for? Who pays you?
Oh, the CIA, the FBI, the NSA.
Who direct deposits in your monthly? How do you live? Like, who's your employer? Well, who have you worked for in the past? Name some companies.
Yeah, it's none of your business, dude.
Well, I'll name the ones that I have.
Yeah, I don't care. No one cares.
Okay, but why do flat earthers seem a bit more transparent than a lot of the ballers that come on here?
What does it matter? I don't care about this flat versus globe, this us versus them mentality that you guys have. Like, I don't care.
Because we have flat earth.
What makes you so fascinated,
Tim?
Agents. Hey, Tim, what makes you so fascinated, bud? Why are you so fascinated?
I'm so fascinated.
Tell me why. Let me hear your
Who said that I'm so fascinated, church lady? Who said that?
So tell me why you're so fascinated, Timmy.
Anything of quality to say. Right the hand.
No. Tell me why you're so fascinated with flat Earth, Tim. Come on.
I think that's FED, isn't
it? That is, yeah. That's me, Ed.
As I said, I find very much so interesting the sociological and psychological aspects of the conspiratorial bias, as I was heavily infected by this hell of a drug that it is quite a while ago.
So what about Lamsham Spoman, Tim? Lamsham Spoman at the Boston bombings. You'll stand by that was a hoax, right? You're not budging from that.
I still laugh at lampshades, dude. There's friends know, like when I say lampshades.
But hoaxes sort of stopped there, Tim. Really, didn't they? Or didn't progress beyond that? Corona couldn't be a hoax at all, could it?
No, I'm saying there is a sickness, but it's not. It's a hysteria hoax. The mainstream media is hyped up. That's what it is.
No one knows anyone here who has corona, and I've spoken to taxi drivers, people who have constant interaction with people, and no one knows anybody. So on the face of it, anyway, Tim, we'd be right to suspect a hoax, wouldn't we?
It's a tough one. I mean, this is you're pitching basically a worldwide hoax where people are dying of something, and all of these leaders, all of them, unanimous.
Like Ball Earth, man. Like Ball Earth. What's harder, Ball Earth or
I was going to say, if they can convince you you're standing on a ball, they can't. You don't think they can convince you there's an invisible thing floating around?
Mark Sargent convinced you that you're on a flat Earth pizza dish, dude. Like it's so far.
The Bible.
He believes Mark Sargent's version of reality.
No, I mean you're basically in the Truman Show, trying not to be a church lady, but you can't help yourself. That's basically what's happening right now.
So all you're doing there, Timmy. All you're doing,
you're in a church too,
and you just look like an idiot. Listen, what you're so fascinated with flat Earth because of the psychological aspects of it, right? So please tell me what the psychological aspects you're interested in. What?
The groupthink mentality, like this kind of like circle jerk behavior that was happening before I came on. That's basically what I'm pretty fascinated with, I guess you could say.
Kind of like everybody thinks the Earth is a ball to go along with it, that kind of thing.
No, they know that the Earth is a sphere, not a ball. It's an oblate spheroid. It's an ellipsoid, not a ball. I know you try to make
no one knows that.
Make it think like make people think that it's some kid's toy. It's a ball.
Okay, Tim. You said groupthink. What else, Tim? You said groupthink. What else?
Groupthink's a big thing. Like I said,
what
also the circle jerk mentality. The whole
awesome. You're into
you guys act as if the flat Earth is proven, even though it took you 5 years to get on January 1st.
You said you're into circle jerking, right? You're into circle jerking, right, Timmy? That's what you said. You're into circle jerking about flat Earth and groupthink. What else?
Do you have anything like productive to ever bring to the
What
table?
else, Timmy?
Do you?
What else, Timmy?
Do you? Because I'm not under.
What other psychological
Okay, hang on.
flat Earth do you like?
Okay, hold on.
Come on, Timmy.
So Timmy, you actually mentioned the black swan then. Did you? So you said it's taken us until January to get the black swan. So what's your feelings with that then? It's interesting you brought that up.
Yeah, what?
I think that every time, all of the times, the hundreds of he asked me a question. Sorry, church lady. It's okay. You can shut up and pipe down for just a moment. But the hundreds of observations that I did out at the Great Salt Lake are actually all black swans on flat Earth. That's what I think about it. It's like, oh, you guys found one piece of imagery that's highly refracted, as you can see with the cranes, and try to say that that's flat Earth. Like, that's cute. I really applaud you guys in your little endeavor of proving that the Earth is flat and going to little flat Earth conferences and being led around by shills and stuff. Like, go ahead, dude. These little fallouts, these little cliques that you guys have, it's so cute. Keep doing it, please.
It's so cute that you keep watching.
Yeah,
very
dude,
interesting.
5 years,
It says a lot about you. It says a lot about your psychology there, Timmy.
He's paid to.
Do you know what it says about your psychology there, Timmy?
That I'm interested in wackos. That's why people watch all kinds of drama on the TV that's completely fake.
So
this is real.
Can I ask you?
So hold on. So you're into
And Sleeping Warrior is real. That's real stuff.
You're into, wait. You're into wackos. You're into circle jerking. You're into groupthink. Keep going, Timmy. Tell me more of the psychological stuff that you like. This is building a nice profile for you, Timmy. I don't know if you're aware of what profile it's building you.
I've talked about this for years. This is nothing new. We can move on.
I don't understand if you understand what profile you're building, but what else about it? It's the groupthink. It's the circle jerking, right? Tell us more.
Are you done
the wackos, right? There's got to be more to it, Timmy. Come on.
The geeks, the freaks, the weirdos.
Right? What else? We got the wackos. We got the circle jerks. We got the groupthink. What else, Timmy? What's your vibe? What else? What else do you pick up? Yeah, thank you for the silence. Appreciate it. There you go. Let's continue on to something else. Timmy's gone.
Yeah, he tuckered out, guys. Anyone else?
The Great Salt Lake. So, Tim, you said there are instances where it looked flat across the Great Salt Lake occasionally. Is that what you said earlier?
No, not at all. But
okay, so every single observation supported.
That's cute. Keep doing the trolling that you do. That's really cool. The religious troll, I really love it. Keep going.
I just want to know how many samples you took, because George at least honestly said in his test that he had to remove some observations when he did his stuff in Minnesota. So I'm just testing your honesty. Is there any of those that appeared flat, like the black swan in California?
No. There's never a time that I went and looked 27 miles from Antelope Island Causeway on all throughout the year on different varying atmospheric conditions and temperatures. I never saw the bottom of the buildings. It was always just basically the half of the biggest building that you could see. Never saw from shore to shore, like Ranty will say all the time on here. We have all these shore to shores. I was listening, I think, Fight the Flat Earth and you.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on, Tim.
Bad impersonation, man.
Hold on, Tim. You just said something then. So it was always half hidden.
Yes, or highly refracted in that there could be miraging effects, but still half hidden. You don't see the bottoms of them.
Okay, so it was never loomed then.
Loomed up. Well, the weather conditions out in the Great Salt Lake aren't like being near the beach, obviously. So I don't get too many. I've had stooping before. Perhaps
stooping. That's a new one.
I think Ranty knows what stooping is
right now. Stooping to a new low. Tim, can I ask you?
We're listening.
Can I ask you a quick question?
We're listening to stooping.
Do you ever did you observe Earth curve or just missing buildings?
So we did missing mountains. We did missing buildings from several different points on the island. We also had surveying equipment, two $20,000 GPS units that we were toting around from actually the straight, very, very straight road on the Bonneville Salt Flats. We did that. We got within 0.5% of the Earth's radius. These are things that
Hold on. Wait. You just said you never measured Earth's curve. You just measured you not being able to see a building, right?
So what do you mean by Earth's curve? Like the Alberuni method, going on top of a mountain and getting.
I'm talking about.
He's asking if whether you inferred the Earth's curvature or you measured it. How do you not understand his question?
Yeah, so
I'm looking over water, right? The most calm water, glass like water ever. And it's coming up to half of the buildings. I can't see the other
okay, right there, stop. So now you didn't see Earth curve, you saw half a building, right?
It matches the sphere.
No, hold on. You're jumping.
Hold on.
Calm down.
It's okay. When we looked in the other direction, there's Strong's knob. We did several different tests there. Is this clown just going to continue to talk?
Hold on. But I'm trying to address what you're saying. I know you got your test. Okay. You got all your GPS. Okay. But all of that information, you weren't looking or measuring the curve of the Earth. You inferred it because you couldn't see all of a building.
Well, let me actually say this because you're not listening. You're trying to talk over me.
Tim.
So there was many
what I said.
tests and you're doing it again. This is what you do because you get triggered like the little church lady that you are. Okay, and it's gonna be okay. You'll be okay. Maybe
okay for you
want to learn something today.
It's okay if you're wrong too.
Stop talking over me, okay? Can you try that?
What I said.
Can you try that?
Did you measure Earth curve or missing building?
Can you try to let me answer?
Can you try to answer the question? Were you measuring Earth curve or missing building?
Can you let me answer?
If you answer.
Okay, so there were several different observations and tests being done. One was using GPS. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Wait, I got to hold on. No, what's the difference? Hold on. What's the difference between an observation and a test?
You can test with observations, but this is more.
Okay, hold on. You're saying you have two. Hold on, Tim. Tim. It's okay, Tim. It's okay. You said you have two. Tim, you said you have two things: observations and tests. If they're the same thing, then you have one thing. So do you have two things? If they're two things, explain the difference.
I'm actually not going to. This is not even a conversation.
Okay, so you don't. So because all you have is your observations, right? You don't have a test.
Mind of God, can I try something?
This guy is
a question.
Who is it?
Timmy, you have nothing.
Let me ask you a question, please. Timmy, let me ask you a question.
Timmy's running. Shout out to Darwin. Oh dear, CGI Ranty. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated, mate. Thank you very much.
Actually, 4 different cameras using drones, using observations of the sky, using observations of mountains in the distance, using observations.
Okay, hold on.
Just keep going.
Just
say yes,
go ahead.
Use cameras. Just say yes, you use cameras.
Well, there's more than just
if he says do you use cameras, you don't mean.
Okay, so let's separate all these. Yes, let's separate all these instruments apart.
You don't hold on.
Let's just talk about you and me.
Well, someone shut this church lady up.
This is important.
Let's talk about you and me, Timmy.
This is very important. If you say you use cameras, don't name each individual 15 cameras. Just say, yes, I use cameras.
Saying there's more than cameras. I was trying to explain that. You guys have to talk over.
Use cameras. Next question. Yes, I use cameras. Next question.
So
that's it. You don't go on this 15-minute rant of which cameras you use. Yes, I use cameras. Back to Mind of God. Mind of God, go.
This guy.
Mind of God, go. He uses cameras. Yes,
so Timmy, when you
that's not me talking, by the way.
Let's
right, come on, guys. Let's try and get a little bit of civility here. Bit one-on-one. Come on. Try and answer succinctly there, Tim. Please don't drone on too much.
So Tim,
he's being cut off. I'm not even getting. Let him finish his responses.
I'm not even getting 15 seconds. Okay, so don't even fucking say, Ranty, that I'm droning on, dude.
Yeah, let him finish.
Try to be a little impartial on this, please.
Right, so you use cameras then, yes? Timmy?
Obviously.
Right.
Obviously he uses cameras.
So Tim, so hold on.
So Tim, you and me are standing
Was it only cameras that I said, Ranty? Did I say only cameras?
No, you mentioned other things.
Thank you. I think you're being very honest, actually. Thank you very much.
Cameras on them. A drone is a flying camera. Come on, be an honest person instead of being a dishonest.
If I can answer. if I can answer. There were tests done with
Timmy,
auto levels. There's you guys don't want to hear. I don't even get 5 seconds.
Timmy.
So we have auto levels.
Yes, I get it, bro. I get it. You answered
Yeah,
the question.
okay. So you don't,
I'm satisfied with your response,
hear
Tim.
the answer. Okay, go ahead.
Cheers, Paige. Thank you for the sticker. Game over.
So
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Throw that away for a second. Let's throw cameras away for a second. Let's talk about two human beings standing shoulder to shoulder, looking at the shoreline, same height. We're going to observe the ground and the sky apparently touching. Correct?
Yeah, and the sun not changing in angular size throughout the day, but rising and setting. Let's throw that one in there too. That's the wild card.
No, that's a fantastic point. It is. It really is, because you need to focus on, first of all, the apparent junction. Don't detract about the sun. Focus about the apparent junction. Okay, bud? Do you know what the definition? Timmy, bud. What's the definition of convergence? Do you know?
What does that have to do with anything?
Do you know what the definition of convergence is?
Are you going to basically be a quantum eraser on Ranty's channel and try to have me define things? Really?
So, do you know what the definition of convergence is?
How about you enlighten me, since I've been in this arena and heard everything for 5 years? I've heard and compiled the 100 excuses for curvature you guys have as flat earthers as a whole.
I'll give you the definition of convergence, Timmy. I'll give you the definitions in a second, okay?
Okay.
I have it here up for you.
Enlighten me.
Can you tell me what causes the apparent? Can you tell me what causes the apparent junction of the sky and the ground? Is it Earth curvature? Is it Earth curvature? Is it Earth curvature, or is it your eyesight?
I'm not going to answer that.
Thank you very much. There you go. I busted another fraud.
It's not going to be
another fraud on your show, Ranty. I got Professor Bill. Now I got Timmy.
Really? Is there anyone serious here?
Really? I thank you very much, Timmy. I busted you. Thank you.
Nice work. Nice work, Flat Data.
Have the answer.
Wow.
All right,
Anyway,
Tim, just give us some honest insight into your test. Is there anything that has motivated you to think that it's not a ball, even once in your quiet moments by yourself or with Jesse? Anything?
So, yeah, thanks for the question. So I was really interested in stars as a kid. So I understand there is 2 celestial points on the Earth. Number one, the sun and moon, the lunar and solar eclipse all actually make sense if you just model it out in your head in 3D, like geometrically. And then when you then do all the observations that I've done that actually have been modeled on, what's his face? The math guy, I forget his name right now. But it's all been modeled and everything matches up. I did the Bonneville salt flats.
Your voice sounds pretty shaky, Tim. Your voice sounds pretty shaky. Did I fuck you up? Did I fuck you right up?
I was almost done with that. That's cool. So anyway, all of these things match up in my worldview. And then you guys come in and say, well, I don't really know what the sun is. I don't really know why it doesn't change in angular size throughout the day and it rises and sets. I don't have a map. I don't have a model. Even though you have a map and model and everything that works, I mean, it's just ridiculous that you guys.
Your voice sounds so shaky, bud. What's wrong? I messed you up, didn't I?
That's very good.
Tim, what comes first?
Actually, I probably haven't talked this much in quite a while. So go ahead.
You're real nervous, bud. Your voice is just vibrating.
Cool. So do you have anything to say about what I just said?
So Timmy,
I did.
You clearly told me you didn't want to answer it. You clearly said, "I am not going to answer that," like a 2-year-old, like a 5-year-old. Pardon me. I am not going to answer that, teacher. No, you can't destroy my illusions.
No, I said that I'm not going to answer the one of 2 answers. I'm saying the physicality of the world. You're very childish.
So
mind of God, go ahead.
The angular size point doesn't necessarily mean that it's 93 million or the Earth is curved or flat, right? You would agree that that's not proof. That might be evidence.
Yeah, that's very fair. I think that is evidence for the sun being very far away.
Yeah, fair enough. I just want to clarify that. It doesn't automatically imply 93 million, because we would need to know, when does that far field approximation work, and it probably is not as far as 93 million, right? That the sun would appear to be the same angular size. I'm assuming it would be even at 30 million.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. So wait, in all that stuff that you just talked about, you did GPS with Jesse Kozlowski and all that kind of stuff. how many different methods did you use? You don't have to list them all, but how many different methods do you claim to have used to verify the curvature? Like
well, methodology speaking, so instead of like saying I did one method 5 different ways at 5 different observation heights or whatever, I'm going to say the actual methodology of it, which is fair enough. Auto level, drone, cameras at the surface. So probably 5, dude. Like 5 different ways, and all of them have matched up. And that's just with Jesse. I've done much more stuff.
Would you say all 5 of those ways would include looking at an object and seeing how much of it is missing?
Probably.
No. The GPS has nothing to do. The 37 miles on the Bonneville Salt Flats has nothing to do with looking at obstructed
evidence. Walk us through that one. That one sounds juicy. Let's go to that one then.
You've actually been on Jose's where Jesse was on there, and people invited you out and stuff to do these kinds of tests. You were thinking of a drone that was dragging something through the water. First
that
off,
would be rigorous.
You've heard all of this from Jesse and myself before.
But Tim,
right?
the whole thing I got from those discussions was you can't make a straight line. And so if you can't make a straight line, how are you going to verify that's your reference, right? That whether it's straight or curved. So how can you do a test without that standard also being plotted?
No, your standard was even the thought of having a drone dragging something through the water, dude.
No, that one's
like
good too.
that
one makes a straight line with a drone.
Wow.
You guys are saying you can't make a straight line with a drone. You can't make one physically somehow alongside the water body. So how did you make the straight line to calibrate your results?
Well, there was definitely a lot of different things that they were bouncing off you, but really the whole thing probably rests on you not having like very much faith in the GPS system. And it's
a simple question. How did you calibrate your results? Like have the straight line be plotted, because you need a reference. Because if you're going to measure straightness or curvature, you need to measure it against something. You don't just take GPS coordinates and then.
Yeah, you can take XYZ. You can take XYZ Cartesian coordinates and not come up with a straight line, dude. From GPS. That's why there's 3 different.
Are you transposing it from? Are you using a linearization method when you do this? From non-linearization to linearization, are you using the math for that by any chance?
He didn't even express do what. He hasn't even told us how he plotted them, what he did with that curve. Did he show us that curve and all that kind of stuff?
You actually
if he just said about GPS signals, then he should know about non-linearization to linearization. But he doesn't. So you're a fucking liar again, dude.
If you're talking about satellites, you should probably know about special relativity. I mean, I can just say this.
If you're talking about using your GPS signals and coordination, and you don't know about linearization to non-linearization, you're a liar. You're full of shit.
What does that have to do with anything?
But Tim, just walk us through. You collected the points, and then you took the GPS points on the whatever the surface, and then what did you do with them? Walk us through those steps. You have these points now. They're on some hard drive, flash drive. Now, what did you do?
Basically, we gave them to Walter Bislands, and he made a calculator to where you can plug it into.
Okay, so he has the plot of those results.
You plot the results. That's what the calculator does. It just plots the results of the raw ECEF data. You guys are just nitpicking, trying to find like anything that could be wrong with it. Like that's what
Earth. You understand this? You understand when you take data and put it on a hard drive, you're not measuring the shape of the Earth, okay? So what you've done.
Someone else that can talk.
Let me ask you this, Tim. This is the whole point. Does the model come first, or do the observations come first? Which comes first? Do you make the model first, or do you make the observation first?
What does it matter?
It matters a lot.
Well, if it doesn't matter, then just answer it.
I'll answer it for him. It's observation.
Well, let's see if he agrees. Do you agree with Mind of God there?
Come on, Tim. Don't.
Come on.
What does it actually matter, though? It's like
don't be afraid of the question.
Causality. Does the model honor the observations, or is the observations fit to the model? That's a very important distinction, man. The model has to be a result of observations.
He clearly told you he didn't want to answer you whether it was Earth curvature that was causing the apparent junction or it was eyesight. He said he didn't want to answer.
Why do you have to put it like linear, like binary like that? It's either this or it's that. Probably because you've been listening to too much of Nathan.
No,
Hogan.
What's the
probably 'cause
definition
Earth
of
is either
convergence?
curved or it's not. That's why we're
What's
here,
the
man.
definition
it's either
of
one or the other.
What's
Here
the
we go with
definition of
quantum
convergence,
race
Tim?
Here, this is.
What's the
this-
definition of convergence?
Thank you, mind of God. By the way, thank you. I mean, I probably don't have the patience. I don't get on panels and I don't make videos anymore. So, it's a decent conversation with you. I appreciate it, man. These two clowns, they just.
Definition of
Well, then,
convergence.
don't call us church lady, man. That hurts
It's
my feelings.
cute, but it's kind of sad too that you guys think that the Earth is flat.
Well, I for one have appreciated you coming on to me because I've just had a super chat directed at you. Do you want me to read it out? It's from Godzilla for a $5 Canadian super chat. We only need one black swan. This is why you're already done, Timmy. From here, it's just dishonesty from you, and we all know it.
Yeah, well, like I said, all of my images, all of my data is a black swan for flat Earth. So you guys have one.
Yeah, you don't know what the definition of convergence is. Every single angle you've ever measured in your life, every single angle you've ever measured in your life comes from convergence. So here's a definition, Timmy, before you go, okay? This is a definition.
I'm not even.
It says especially coordinated movement of the two eyes so the image of a single point is formed, or a corresponding retinal areas.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that?
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Formed on corresponding retinal areas.
Cool. Do you think that
convergence?
Hold on.
Convergence of the horizon.
Jesus.
Is an apparent convergence. It's not an actual joining of the sky and ground. The clouds don't actually touch the ground, right, Timmy? The sun doesn't actually touch the ground there, right? Timmy, it's not touching the ground, right?
Great job. Okay, are definitions prescriptive or descriptive? Very important.
In this particular case, it's giving you a description of what the word means.
I'm asking: are they definitions? Are they descriptive or are they prescriptive?
He answered.
Somebody obviously.
Descriptive.
In this particular stance, convergence is descriptive. It's telling you what the retinal of the eye does, which is converge. It converges a point due to the corresponding retinal points of. On the corresponding retinal points of the eyes, you'll have convergence. This isn't a thing to do with your eye, Timmy. So again, I'm going to ask you again. See how honest you are.
What was the overarching point of going through?
What is causing the apparent junction of the sky and ground? Is it Earth curvature or is it our eyesight?
It's neither. It's the physicality of the world. It's the water. It's the land. It's the sky that you're looking through. Who gives a shit about your fucking bullshit question, dude? Seriously, if you're looking at land,
the convergence is caused by the outside world, according to Timmy.
Who cares?
Instead of the eye having an aperture, instead of the eye having an aperture, and a lens having a refractive index, which our eye has a refractive index, and it has an aperture, we have limited angles, just like cameras do, Timmy. Timmy, cameras have limited diffraction angles. Every camera you've ever used is called a limited diffraction system.
This is why the sun sets? Is this what you're saying?
So again,
exactly.
The apparent convergence, bud. Think about that. Forget about the sunset and your disillusion of what the sun is. Let's talk about the apparent convergence.
15 degrees per
You're telling me that the apparent convergence.
How does that happen?
Timmy,
how does that happen? Seriously. No, seriously. With all this,
you got a lot of questions, eh?
But wait,
with all
you can only make that statement.
Hold on, just let me ask the question. How does the sun, if we're on a flat plane, how does the sun maintain 15 degrees per hour, not change in angular size throughout the day, and rise and set? Okay, how does that happen?
I'll answer that.
Timmy, I'll tell you first. Hold on. Here, let me have a shot at it, bud.
Okay.
Do you know what the equation of time is, Timmy?
So you're answering the question with question?
Yeah, because you have to understand the equation
of
time.
Explain it, dude. Explain it.
Okay. So
you're not quantum eraser.
I'm not trying to be quantum eraser, dude. I've been always this way from the get-go. The bottom line is, when you're looking at something with your eyes, light is bouncing off that object. The whole perspective definition, or a synonym for perspective, is angles or angular. Okay? As objects move away, they reduce in angular size. Okay, the sky and ground never touches, Timmy. We know it never touches. And if you think a little harder with your brain, if you had multiple viewers simultaneously in the same geometrical position, but only
How
a
does
different
this work with the sun? The question was the sun.
Yes, bro. Focus.
not
Focus. We'll get there. We'll get there, bro. We'll get there. Okay.
Okay, go ahead and explain how it has.
Get rid of a
Make sure you get the
fiery
15
gas ball out of
degrees
your
per
brain,
hour
right?
in there, bud.
Yeah, the equation of time. It's not actually traveling exactly at 15 hours or 15 degrees per hour exactly, right? It's a little faster and perhaps a little slower.
But let me answer the other two about the bottom up.
So hold on. The apparent convergence is a very, very important factor. We know that as light travels through the atmosphere, it's going to have some refractive properties. We know this, Timmy. Okay? So if the sun is in our atmosphere to a certain degree or a certain height, it's going to appear to do something, Timmy. It's not actually going to be doing it. It's going to appear to do it because of the refractive properties we live in, Timmy. Speaking of the world around us, you said affects what we see. You're right. But our eye has an aperture.
What about the 15 degrees?
Listen, bro.
What about that one?
Yes, I just told you it's not a constant 15 degrees. Now, is it? It's a little fast and a little slow, but we're quantifying it with a man-made
Why is
time.
that? Is it the eccentricity?
Well, when you look
that?
at the sundial, and the sundial, it has to do with construct of time, because in Cohen-Hand, that's how man developed time, is looking at a sundial. That's where you get the equation of time from, numbnuts, which means the sun on its path is way slower in the months of February and March. Up to June, it starts to be normal with man's time, and then wavers down a little bit, goes back up again, and then goes to be about 16 minutes behind man's time. It's slower in the summertime. This is the equation of time based on the sundial and man trying to quantify the 60 by 60 by 24. So your 15 degree per hour question is asinine for number one, because you don't understand the actual world you fucking live in and how time was constructed. Number two, when you're ignoring the refractive properties of how the sun can move away from you, and when you look at an object that is refracted, it doesn't change angular size to a huge degree, especially if it's already a large object apparently there.
Yeah, I'll take that angular too. It's like you can't make that statement unless you look at the sun in an exhaustive sense of all the different places on Earth. You could say maybe in some situations that it does do that, but you can't make that statement that it maintains angular size unless you're looking at all points across Earth, right?
Oh, so you have to go to all points across Earth, right, to look at the sun with a solar filter throughout the day. You say you have to go to all points on the Earth. That's what that's your evidence. I mean, first off,
well, in order to say that it always maintains angular
this guy
size,
waffles on for like 5 minutes about absolute nonsense. Like, do you guys really think those are good arguments about convergence and perspective and your ocular rays? And
yes, because
it's
100%, dude. It destroys you
Asinine.
to the point where you go. It destroys you, buddy, to the point where you don't go. You go.
Oh yeah, so the Earth is flat.
I'm not answering it. I'm not answering it.
Because of
Timmy, you're the one. You're the one who was asked and goes, "No, I'm not answering it." You literally jumped out of your chair. You literally jumped out of your chair, Timmy. You all voice wavering afterwards. I'm not answering that. And your voice was wavering way after that, buddy.
Yeah.
Tim,
go ahead.
It's just the concept of like we're if you're saying all the time, that's the statement you said, that it's maintaining angular size all the time. Like, that's a mathematical statement. So technically, it's not even necessarily to support flat Earth. For someone to be able to say that, if I told you this happens all the time, then you would have the right to say, well, what about these cases, right? And then I shouldn't be uncomfortable. So if you say that happens all the time on Earth, then the natural statement would be like, well, how many different places on Earth did you sample that to make that conclusion?
Yeah, okay, mind God.
And then the last thing, one second, the last thing, the bottom up of the sun, if you accept that objects can disappear bottom up across a flat surface here locally, then those type of optical phenomena could exist with an object higher up and further away. And so you guys don't.
It doesn't apply to the sun on the flat Earth, I guess. But
I'm saying
mind God.
Perspective doesn't apply to flat Earth, I guess.
Mind God for a moment.
You don't even know how to answer. You don't even know how to answer what causes the apparent junction of the sky and ground. You don't even know how to answer that simple question. What causes the apparent? No, you said neither. You said neither, and then you said neither, Timmy, and then you proceeded to say, "Oh no, the world around us, the world around us." First of all, you said neither.
It's very simple. Anyway,
you're ignoring vision. You're ignoring limited angles to the eye.
Okay, cool. You're right, sure. Anyway, mind of God, I think
I am right.
I think you understand. Okay, I think you understand that the globe Earth model, under most respects, you should understand works, right? Like the time and date, the stars, the two celestial points, the sun not changing any other size. Like if there's a
Timmy,
sun
the two
on a
celestial
hold on,
points.
hold
Let me
on,
ask you a question.
Hold on.
No.
I was asking
You're
some of the
lying
questions.
about the South Pole.
That
You're
would
lying
be
about
great.
the South Pole. The South
That'd be
Pole
great.
isn't accurate to the North Pole.
Wow.
It's
Anyway,
not.
okay.
It's
Yeah,
off
not.
by a degree, bro. It's off by
Sure.
1 degree. So it's
Sure
not an
thing.
equal pole. Why are you lying? It's not an equal pole. Literally, it's off by one degree.
Do you understand what a celestial
So
point?
why are you?
Do you understand what a celestial
If
point
you're talking
is?
about two,
There doesn't have to be
a star.
There doesn't have to be a star on the celestial point. You absolute mong, dude. All the stars go around the central point.
They don't.
Clown.
The South Pole is off by the parent South Pole. The octane is off by 1 degree.
Clown. Sigma octans. There's no bright star on the actual point, the celestial point. There's nothing in science that says there has to be a star attached to the exact central point. And furthermore, Polaris is not attached to our northern point exactly. So stop being clowns, man. This is pathetic. The whole globe Earth model works. You guys just want to live on your flat Earth bullshit.
There's no curvature, bro. Sorry.
What do you mean work?
In the meantime, guys, just have a quick think about something. But I want to bring out these super chats because they're all directed at Tim. So do you open your ears back a minute here, Tim? So from Godzilla, he says, that's where you're wrong, Tim. Again, proving black swans against your conception as a straw man of a flat Earth is not what our black swan is to illustrate. It illustrates your model is wrong, and it's all we need. This is why your model is done. We don't offer an alternative. We just know yours cannot work. Get it? Probably not.
Cool. Can I respond to these super chats? That'd be great.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so our black swan, as if you're like the globalist deniers, you guys are flat earthers. You guys are making the positive claim that the earth is flat. When you have one black swan that you've brought out that has extreme refractive effects going on with the tower, and you can go on a clear day and see that that's not the case. Like you guys have been obsessed with looking over the ocean at low altitude, at low observation height for a long time now. You say, look at this, it's just refractive. Well, cool. You can go other places like the Great Salt Lake and get really good imagery, really, really, really clear imagery.
Okay, well, what about?
Are you using, Timmy? Are you using just regular lenses? Do you ever use anything around 390 nanometers? Anything in violet spectrum at all when you're doing your observation with your lenses? Or are you just using standard nanometers, 500, 550?
It's neither here nor there.
Well, here we go. We've got the Marlena effect.
So
hold on, guys. We've got the Marlena effect on the panel, right? So Tim's just said that we only ever take observations from down low. Here we have a commercial airline pilot on the panel who has said she's never seen any curvature.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, has that been verified? Because the other flat earther, Bob Nodell, that said he was a commercial airline pilot.
Actually, you and I, Tim, have been on panels together before, quite a few years ago.
Yeah. Long time.
And how you been? Nice to hear you sticking to your guns.
He's asking.
I mean, we're supposed to be about
to verify. He's asking for us to verify her credentials when he didn't say a single thing about his background. Not a single.
Oh, I don't mind. I've already done it. I've done it in the past. I've shown at least a couple people my license. I'm not going to put it out there for everybody. Obviously, it's personal and it's very, who's going to show their ID.
Tim,
but Tim and I have talked before.
Tim, be fair and acknowledge the hypocrisy. We don't know a single thing about you, Rumpus. We know a little bit about George. And
No. Someone just said there's a credentialed commercial pilot here. And that's a big difference between you not knowing what I do in real life. That has nothing. It's a non sequitur.
You're talking about using surveying equipment, GPS, drones, all this stuff.
Yeah, with a 40-year plus surveyor that's been in the industry for that long. Yeah, that's what I did. I learned a lot, dude. Yeah, I don't deny everything just for this fantasy. I don't.
Okay,
and I won't.
So you outsource your proofs to Jesse Kozlowski then?
No, I did a lot of it myself, actually. I proved it to myself.
Right.
All the things that I brought up here, you guys cannot explain at all. The GPS, the sun not changing any other size, 15 degrees per hour, the 2 celestial points, that all points towards a sphere, the lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, everything. And you guys are just
one observation though
continue for years and years to pretend that the Earth is flat. It's fucking pathetic.
You're getting it all wrong, bro. There's no curvature. It doesn't matter of all those hypothesizations that you just stated.
Man.
There's no, dude. I didn't see anything to do with Derek Dubay. You can't even answer. You know what? You know what?
What have you done? Listen to Nathan Oakley and former racer for a year.
I'll tell you what I've done. I'll tell you what I've done. I've captured all the audio of you, of Rumpus, for a documentary. For this one question I've been asking.
Great, so you have no evidence yourself.
So listen, bro. Listen, I'll tell you what you can expect. I can tell you what you can expect.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What
Be
I've done,
Go ahead.
What I've done is I've went to optometrists. I've went to people in aviation. I've gathered a group of people in the movement, and you're one of them, that purposely go to their way to spend hours and hours a day to lie. You're at least caught at least 1 or 2 lies every time you debate.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. What did I lie about? One thing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So what did
I lie about?
When I asked you what causes the apparent
What did I lie about?
I'll tell you. When I asked you about the apparent convergence of the sky and ground.
What did I lie about?
Right? I'm going to tell you.
Go ahead.
When I asked you, you said, I'm not going to answer that. It was your first response. Okay?
Nope. You didn't listen. You can go back and listen. Maybe in your documentary, you can actually put this whole transaction here, and you can say, you know what, I was wrong and I heard what I wanted to hear because I'm a pathetic fucking flat earther.
Come on, Tim. Chill out, man.
So the bottom line is that you didn't want to answer it. And then when you were asked a second time, you said neither. And then, trust me, bro, it's right there. Go back and listen to yourself. Then you proceeded to say, well, it has to do with the environment around us and what the world does to us. That's what you said. Okay?
I think
it's documented.
He rage quit.
Oh, damn.
Sorry, Ranty.
No worries, no worries. I'm going to shout out a super chat, though, from Paige, who says, this is probably why he left, actually. We do not make a claim other than the ball is wrong. How did you get the R value for refraction if everything is always bent light? That's question 1. And question 2, about the Senelion. How is the moon eclipsed by Earth when both sun and moon are up? Indeed. 2 really important questions there. But he's left. He's ran. He did leave a comment. What was his comment, guys? Did you see?
I'm bored.
Is that what he said? Hang on, let me read it out.
He's not stimulated by people asking questions. So that's boring to these ball earthers, is being asked questions about their, quote, tests.
Thanks, Ranty. Maybe another time we can have a better interaction. I'm bored. Was it not a very good interaction for him because he was getting owned?
he's sitting pretty, resting on infinite refraction. He's just comfy with that. We stretch the black swan stresses out the model to need to refract infinitely, and he's like, no, that's fine. I'm good with that. That's ridiculous. That's insane. Oh my god.
Oh, that was funny that he actually left claiming that he, what was it he said now? Claiming that he wanted a better interaction. I mean, I thought he had a great interaction. I mean, he was able to answer nothing.
Right.
Was it because it didn't go his way? Because he's normally used to going on somebody else's panel and either being kicked off or having a load of globe earthers defending him.
Yeah. We're all of
I used to go on with him in the past. He was like that. It was like that where he'd have a whole bunch of people on his side, and then it was never fair.
How can they win with pilots coming forward? We got freaking infinite refraction is their only go-to, and then those things happen all the time, and then the obvious fact that we're not moving. Come on.
They don't take into account either the 8 inch per mile square doesn't work for them.
Ever. Yeah, a lot of them don't even know that's the approximation.
Can you guys give me one reason that you think of the cognitive, because it seems like the cognitive dissonance is so great. It's like they ignore the vanishing points. They ignore our vision entirely. I'm totally confused.
Correct.
Every single time, Ranty, I don't know if you noticed, but I've gotten Rumpus on your show recently with the same question. I got George on your show with the same question. I've got now Timmy on your show with the same question, and all of them. Well, it's right there. It's that one question they don't like to answer.
Exactly. I mean, you'll find that if you allow them to come onto a platform like this and just open up and talk and get into a debate and be allowed to speak, that's what will happen. You know, you'll find that something that they're not confident with speaking about, and then you'll find that they're all the same.
Yeah.
And that's where you'll find the weaknesses are. You know, you've got to probe and you've got to prod to find out exactly, you know, where you need to be targeting, and then you'll find that there's a leak there, you know, and then it's like, right, okay.
That's why we got to ask him about.
Yeah, another thing.
Notice how he said he passed it off to Walter Bislin. He did not himself, quote, prove to himself that the Earth is curved. That's what they always do. They're like, oh no, this guy did it. This guy did it. This girl did it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Marlon.
Oh, no, it's fine. What I was going to say was, what they always do, I find, is they only talk about the curve in front of them. The curve should be all around you. But they always say, oh, the curve in front, the curve in front. But when you know, it has to be totally everywhere, not just in front of the person. But that's all they focus on is in front.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
It's
I mean?
only the Y, what is it, the Y-axis observation?
Right. It doesn't work.
It would be easy to prove if the Earth was.
Just going to give a couple of shout outs that I didn't get a chance to say out from Godzilla, who said, what page said? Yeah, exactly. What page said indeed. And from FE News, who says, everyone knows Tim is just a troll. Thank you for the super chat. Cheers, guys.
Oh, spherical geometry built in this dam. It's the world's largest three-gorge dam in China, I think. I think that's where it is, somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the largest dam in the world.
Not in drilling either. Not in drilling horizontal wells. So.
Yeah, it's all straight tubes, right? Even yeah. And if you think about it, even the wells below, they're going to be level and contained, right? So. Yeah.
There's a lot of holes
anyway, Ranty,
in this flawless fall Earth model. That's for damn sure.
Well, there's just like, look, I posted a video a long time ago about World War II prisoners. They were Russian and Japanese, and they built a small scale model of Louisiana, I think, and it was like 50 square miles, or 50,000 square miles. It was one of the world's largest miniature models. It was I don't know if it's 50,000 square miles. It might be exaggerated, but it was quite large. One of the world's largest thing, and it was built by military prisoners. Right. So, you know, you look at this model. They're putting it on Earth. I know it sounds kind of funny, but each section of land looks,
flat.
It's just like what I've done is I've part of this documentary I'm working on. I've got over 100 people now. I don't know when I'm going to stop, but I've asked them about a model of Earth if we could take the dimensions that Earth is supposed to be at now, which is supposed to be 3,959 miles, and if we scaled it down, right, to let's say 1/100,000 scale, which if you did that to the 3,959, you would get like a 260-foot ball, right? I think a 260-foot radius ball. And what I would do is I would take a section of that ball, which would be about 6 feet, right? 5.8, 6 feet roughly. And over a distance, according to the math, there would be a drop of about 2.5 centimeters. So when you take it and you take this section of wood and you take the math and you drop it down and you put objects in reality to the scale using just Euclidean, and all you're doing is attaching it to a curved surface, it doesn't match. You would notice considerably. At higher you would go, you would notice it. And it was just based on this small scale model. So I'm trying to get everybody, all these people, all these doctors, like anybody I can get online that's a white coat. I got this one Christian dude already. He's beautiful, a Christian professor guy. Got him twice. He just like relentless. And when we got to the math and he came out through it all in the end, it was just priceless. So it was these realities that are around us can be scaled down, and it matches what we see if we go higher up. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, it has to.
I have some information I can send you. I did a thing of over 5,000 flat Earth places. I mean, flatland places on Earth. Like the one in Canada, the biggest one is 760 square miles of completely flat land is Saskatchewan. So like you get that and you get all the other ones. It's like I have over 5,000 I can send you. And if you put all those together, plus the water always being level, it's really, really hard to find a curve at that point.
Right. Exactly. It can't
Well,
be
it's not
locally
that, it's-
flat and curved macro level. There's no way. That doesn't work.
Well, you can't put an observer on the ground, tell them that boats are disappearing over as little as 3 miles, and then get in a plane and fly. You just can't do that. And so this is what I find all these conversations so asinine about standing on the shore, looking at refraction, it's just like mind. It's so frustrating in the mind because it's like, guys, just get in an airplane. 5 miles, there's no curvature. All right. So just this programming and this, I don't know, it's crazy.
The only question now is who of these people actually believe that it's a ball, and I suspect Tim knows that it's flat because of possibly the things that he's followed through on or the claims that he's done. So Rumpus definitely knows that it's flat.
So is there a way of getting in a plane and having it set that it has no it's not automatic, it just flies without you actually having to control anything with it?
Well, it's hard to do that considering you have your wind speed, right? You have and then you have a crosswinds, you have everything always pushing you and pulling you around up there, so it is hard to do that, but you can let go.
Could you do it at like 1,000 feet?
I wouldn't do it at 1,000 feet because that's dangerous. Like I wouldn't let go of everything at 1,000 feet.
You get scooped up, or
scared.
would you get drafted up? A big air draft to pop you up?
It depends where you are, and it depends on the weather as well, right? You'd have to be somewhere where it's cold because that's the best time to fly, right? When it's really cold, because the weather's more stable. But yeah, you always get a pop up here and there, right? You have to be on completely flat. So if I went to Saskatchewan or somewhere like that, I probably could do it. So if you could find someone in Saskatchewan to do it, yeah, they would probably do it. I wouldn't do it at 1,000 feet myself.
Could you do it in a small plane? You don't have to have a big plane though to do this, do you?
Yeah, you could do it in a glider.
Huh.
Absolutely could do it in a glider.
That would be cool.
And would you be able to document that in some way? Would there be a way of documenting it to prove it?
Absolutely. You can. Well, it's so hard with our cameras these days, right? They're all fisheye lenses.
Well, check me if I'm wrong here, but I did a little bit of pilot school, and my plan was to fly from mountain terrain to mountain terrain, like mountaintop to mountaintop, right, and measure the height elevation of the mountaintop to mountaintop at a certain distance. So if I did a triangle, it should be anyway between a distance of 100 to 200 miles between the distance. Because at some point there should be some drop if you're going from peak to peak, but there's not, right? So I don't know how that would work actually when I think about it, because you have a gyro that tells you you're flying flat. So
yeah, and you have a lot of updrafts, especially around mountains, is so dangerous, right? There's always it's very dangerous.
See, that's the thing with just the idea of flying alone. That should be, it's motionless. It's level.
Oh yeah. Exactly. You have to learn your VFR, right? Well, you know that.
So what about these pilots then, in the army and stuff, and the navy and the RAF, and they're flying at, say, I don't know, 500 feet, and they're doing 500-600 miles an hour in these planes at very low altitudes. How are they able to do that?
They're very well skilled. I can say. I never did anything wild and crazy, right? Well, actually, I did do one thing that was really cool. I went up to 65,000 feet in a snowbird. We were having an air show over here. We just went straight up and then back down. And at that point up there, I even got knocked out for like a half a second or something. But I was able to do that. I was not flying it. Just so everyone knows, I was not flying the jet. I was just in it. Yeah, we went straight up, went up to that height, and then back down, and my God, it was the same. There was no difference at like 25,000 feet. It looked exactly the same. There was no curve, nothing changed. The horizon still met us to eye level, all that jazz. So That was the only cool thing I've done. I don't know how they do that because I don't fly those type of aircraft, and I don't know everything. I just know what I've observed, to be honest.
There's no way the plane would account for all those things that are happening just automatically without the pilot knowing. Like, that's a ridiculous answer the ballers give us. Like, oh no, the plane just fixes it. It's like, really? It's got a lot of things to fix.
Yeah, no.
Come on. If it were one, maybe. Like, okay, if it was just curved, okay, possibly. But the rotation, the curve,
everything
through space, come on.
Yeah. No. Everything. And they teach you that in flight school. You know that. It says right in your, it's called the book from the ground up. It says right in there. You're landing on a flat stationary surface.
Right.
It doesn't
I
say
interviewed a pilot my friend who's in the defense, and he's still a baller, but like through the discussion, the whole thing was just basically it's assumed to be flat and stationary, and the curvature is not taken into account. So to me, I'm like, it's flat then. So, but he's not allowed to say it. I'm assuming because for his job, his career.
Yeah, you get grounded right away.
Yeah.
I was on a panel with other pilots on Sun and Moon a couple of years ago, and there's this girl named Lydia. I don't know if people remember her. She got grounded before she even hit the ground. She had mentioned it to another pilot. He's called it in, told on her. As soon as she hit the ground, there was a psychologist waiting for her, and they grounded her.
What?
She was suspended. Yep. Because you have to be in sound mind, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that we have to do is every year you have to get your psych evaluated. The only reason why I don't get like reprimanded or anything is because it's a cultural thing for me. So they're not going to bother with, oh, she's native, they're not going to bother with that. But yeah, as soon as she hit the ground, she was grounded. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I would never.
Says your whole story.
Obviously, I'm sure his career would be over if he came public with that. My other friend does flight simulators, so he could get away with it, but he would never. I wouldn't want to put his career in jeopardy, like interviewing him. But he's an amateur pilot and he works for a flight simulation company, and so they've come back with nothing that supports the baller. So it looks like it's flat and stationary.
The people that say they go up there and see a curve are full of shit, by the way. Just saying.
You know what blows me away is when you look at actually how Copernicus supposedly, to me, was it Ptolemy, or was it before Copernicus? It was Ptolemy, right? And then Copernicus reverse engineered Ptolemy's work. This is all before the invention of a telescope. You know what I mean? Just the whole concept of this language being developed, this mathematical language, literally in the dark shadows of a Roman Catholic Church, being devised.
Story.
Well, that's what I mean. It's a story, right? But it's interesting how they want to make it sound so sophisticated before the telescope was invented. It just blows my mind. Everything was so presupposed before it was even. It was like, this is what it is. We need to find it, so we better find it. So do something up so we can find it, because it's there. We're going to look for it. It's right there. We know it. And the whole time, it's just a guess.
Jeez. Ranty, do you know what Tim's background is? Can you throw him under the bus?
I genuinely have no idea. I mean, honestly, I have no idea.
He's never talked about it, Tim. As long as I remember him, he's never said. No matter how many times he did the same thing. Anytime anybody started confronting him, he would leave.
Right.
I know he plays computer games. That's about it.
Him and Fight the Flat Earth. We know that they're into video games, so that's good. That adds a lot of credibility. That's come on.
And
did Sean ever join your
engineers?
Well, he also said that he hadn't spoke to anybody for a very long time, so it's quite possible he's on his own.
Yeah,